Hi, folks. Larry Rolla here. We have the boys coming on, but they're all late. But we'll start with my pal Joe. Hi, Joe. Can you hear me, Joe? No, I don't hear you. Okay,
Larry?
Okay, I hear you now.
Ron just called me. He didn't get a link.
He didn't get a link?
Nope.
All right, I'll send him another one.
Might as well check Eddie out too.
Yeah. Okay.
We're live meanwhile, right?
Yeah, you're on there all by yourself.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Big Larry's podcast.
Okay, I might as well send Eddie another one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and I might as well send Anthony another one.
Yep.
Anthony. Okay. Okay. No, here's Eddie now.
All right.
Hi, Ed.
What's up? I can't get on my computer. I'm on a damn phone.
Why can't you get on your computer?
Everybody's having issues.
Yeah. I'm off the I can't start the conversation. I got all this studio chat. I'm in bed here. I can't. Where the hell are you?
Make your picture sideways. Go sideways on your phone. Larry, you're supposed to say hi. Larry Roller here. Let me bring on my guests.
These poor people that are watching this podcast. Oh my God. Oh my, J.DeLauro. Okay, here he is. Let's see. Now we got to wait for Ron to come on.
Oh shit! I can't believe this.
What's the matter with your computer, Eddie?
I don't know. I'm gonna try it now.
It's not computing.
It's Facimi Bestia. Hey. How's your father, Joe?
Good. Good. He's doing good.
The hell with the computer. See? I lost everything. I'll never get on this thing now. Yeah.
Here's Ron. Hi, Ron.
Hi. I don't see anything yet.
Hi, Susan.
Oh.
Hey, how are you, Joe?
I'm good.
Hi,
How you
Larry.
been?
Hi, Larry.
Good.
Hi.
Hello. Hi. Who?
Hey,
What?
hey, Eddie.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm upside down. Oh, there I am.
You've been
Okay.
upside down for 40 years.
Yeah, no, it's 80 years. 80.
Eddie, is
No,
that
the
on
first
your
40
computer
you're
or
okay.
your phone?
What?
I don't know how it.
You
So
on your
I'm not.
computer or your phone?
This is my phone.
I'm on my iPad.
What's the
What?
matter?
All right.
That one.
What? What's the matter?
I don't know. I can just see the three of them up in the right hand corner. The whole thing isn't taken up. I wonder what I'm doing wrong.
We see you good.
We see you
You
good.
do?
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if I hit this thing. Nope.
I don't know. Let me see here. Put this like this. I don't know how to do this. I ain't gonna hold this thing for 7 hours.
You gotta have a stand like me. You gotta be able to set
Yeah,
up.
well, Larry's supposed to send me his book, his stand, his money. He don't send nothing.
Ever go to the harness shop for me?
Oh, Eddie.
Yeah, I went there, but the guy wasn't there, and the kid that was working there didn't know where it come from. But then I went to the other Honda shop, and they said they get it from Jack's Manufacturer, which is a affiliation, I think, of Big D's.
Yeah. They and I think they buy it from China. I think.
Jack's made the hobbles, right?
I don't know. Ex Jack.
I'm gonna call Jack. I'll call Jax tomorrow. I think the bottom line is I'm gonna wind up eventually having to make a deal with the Chinese, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm right now. I'm gonna make a video, and when I make the video, because the guy's supposed to send me the patent this week. He said he's going to send. I send you all the information, right, Joe?
Yeah.
And he said he was going to send. I should have something this week. And once I know that it's he did all the searches and everything is okay, I have all the material here to make a little video, about 8-10 minute video, explaining everything. And what I'll do then is I'll send one to Ron, one to you, one to Anthony, and that'll be the beginning of that. I don't want to go any further than that because I still have to make a deal with a manufacturer that has a four-way spread blinkers that make four-way spread blinkers, and the only one that does it is what the hell's the name of it? I forgot. There's one company that does it, and but they do it by hand. They have three women that make these hoods by hand that are four-way stretch. And I says, what if I had to order thousands of them? They said it'd take me 1,000 years. So forget about that. So I may have to. There's two companies in China that sell them, that make mass, a lot of hoods, and so I might have to deal with them. But I'm trying to get somebody. But there's no manufacturers in this country. There's the two that I've been dealing with. But every time I say, if this thing works, it might take off, or I might need 100,000 of these things. And they says, well, we couldn't handle that. So I don't know, but I'm not going to go crazy until the patent attorney tells me that it's all clear. And but in the meantime, I'm going to make the video.
Freddie says there's a problem with Amazon.
What?
Freddie said there's a problem with Amazon nationwide with the internet.
Yeah, well, all the internet, even the airport, they had a lot of cancellations, a lot of mess with the computers. Matter of fact, my doctor's office, they had all computers were down. I don't know.
Yeah, my pharmacy too.
So if we get blacked out, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Well, I hope
I'm trying to get on the computer. So if you see my head down, I'm trying to.
Yeah,
Don't talk any dirty stuff with my head down, please.
Yo, where did you see Freddie?
I just got like a text message down my screen.
How come I didn't get it?
I don't know.
I'm looking at all the.
Oh, for issues being caused by Amazon worldwide problem.
Yeah, I can only see anybody. Each one of you is in the size of a stamp on my iPad.
Well,
yeah, including myself. I'm the size of a stamp.
I
can't make it bigger.
Stamps.
Is that what?
It looks like 2 stamp size on mine.
Yeah,
No,
that's
we're
right.
all right.
That's what mine. Oh, that's what it is on yours too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what mine is, like 2 stamps, right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Now I'm small. Now I'm big.
I see everybody perfect.
I don't see you because you got that red thing on top of your head there. Live 944.
Larry, Freddie says, look at your phone. He sent you messages.
My phone is shut off because if I don't shut my phone off, it freezes. So now the last 2 times I did a podcast, I didn't shut the phone. I shut the phone off and it didn't freeze.
All right, so Freddie's sending you messages. He just said to look at your phone.
Well, I have the phone shut off. Every time I have the phone on, with the podcast the last 3 times. I froze. Well, you guys know you got to had to shut the show down for me once, and I think Freddie had to shut the show down for me once.
Yeah. All right.
So, I don't know. It's all I'm doing everything right, and I see everybody perfect here. So I don't know what the problem is, but you know what I'm going to do while you guys are fooling around? Let me just say hello to all our friends over here. We'll start right from the top, and maybe Ron will have his thing figured out by then. And Ron,
That's all right. Whatever.
but that's terrible. That we're okay. Anyway, Sundance says, "Hi, Larry. Hi, Sundance." Okay. So please hit the like button, ring the bell, and subscribe. Okay, Sundance. That's 3 in a row. Hello to everybody in the chat. Oh boy, she names everybody. Okay, the first 5, 6, 7 are all Sundance. Okay. Jesse Black says sock puppets will be kicked out. That's another thing I want everybody to know. If you're disrespectful to any of the guests on here, I'm gonna have to call you out, and because I don't like that. So far I stuck up for Sal, and I stuck up for Joe, and I stuck up for the other Ed, and that's it. So, and I also made this way. Whoever is the one that has a nasty comment, they're going to get this achievement award. So, and also my friend, let's see, my friend Jesse Black, he says sock puppets will be kicked out. Now, I don't know how he did this, but we know the identity of all the people. I'm not going to mention them, and some of them are on the chat, but we know who the people are that come under different names. So I just want you to know that. I will never mention them, but some of them are on the chat under different names. So that's as much as I'm going to say about that. So not that you have to be careful, because there's nobody could do, but we just know who you are, and you're going to get the award, the achievement award. Okay. Now, Manny says, hiya, Sundance. Hiya, chat. Good evening, Larry and Joe. And what about Eddie and Ron, Manny? Okay. Angelique. Hello, Larry and Joe. Well, Eddie and Ron come on late. So
Yeah, they weren't on yet. Hello, Angelique.
okay.
How are you?
Hello.
Okay, let's see. Let's see what Manny has to say. The Gray Filly race today in the Simpson Memorial. Ran a great second in 151-1. We need Anthony to send the video. Great race. Well, Anthony said he had to do something. He just got back from Italy, and he had to do something. And he
We
said,
lost Ronnie.
yeah, right. He'll come back on. So let me get this straight, Eddie. You said that guy in the harness shop on the track where I bought that good one, that guy wasn't in today? Is that what you said?
No, he went to South Carolina on vacation. He had his nephew working, and he didn't know nothing about where the stuff came from or whatever. So then I went to across the street to that other one, and I spoke to Jerry, and he says he gets it from Jack's manufacturer.
All right, I'll call up Jack's too. I'll call up
Yeah.
Jack.
Well, when he comes back, I'll inquire, and you know.
All right, we'll figure it out. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Ron, did you fix the thing, or is it better?
That's all
now?
right. I got it on my wife's iPad. It's working, but mine, like I said, I'm still the size of 2 stamps put together.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah. It's
Anyway,
okay.
okay.
I messed with it. Got knocked off, so I'm not going to do it anymore.
Howard Liebman, going to say a quick hello and a special thanks to you, my friends, especially Joe Guarino, who has so much in common with me, music, family, etc. You're all good guys helping me through health issues. Now, there's two people that come on this podcast, and Howard's one of them. And the other one, I got a letter from today. So altogether, there's three people that come on this podcast that send me these messages saying that they look forward to Tuesday nights, that this is helping them getting through tough times and everything. And I feel good about it. Naturally, I'm glad if I can help anybody, but I find it amazing that our crazy stories could entertain and make like Howard. It's one guy even said one guy, I don't want to mention his name, but he says it's saving my life. I can't believe it. Anyway,
You never know.
I'm glad. I'm glad. And this
Howard's
guy
a very
here,
interesting guy, very smart.
this guy here, his name is William Nixon. He sends me letters, but he don't know how to work computers, but he sends me these handwritten letters. He writes them out in longhand. And he wanted to talk to Michael. And I called Michael, and Michael's kind of a private guy, but I says, look, call this guy. He took the time to write a long letter. This is the third letter I got from him. And he called him, and he this is a thank you letter. So there's a lot of people, it's good. That's why we do it, because if we didn't do it, I would have never saw you for the rest of my life, Joe, Ron, or Eddie. That would have been it. Now we're all together. It's like all old friends.
Yep, it's a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, Howard. Wasn't Howard supposed to get his test results back or something?
Yeah, he.
Did he contact you?
Yeah, he spoke to me. I sort of misunderstood it at first, but he has some issues. He's dealing with them. He got a plan, and he's doing the best he could. He's he has some health issues. So the next few months will determine everything.
And by the way, Joe, I know you know this. Your son came to my house Saturday.
Yeah.
And he's a very, very bright guy. And I sit there in amazement. And I says, listen, before we talk about this project that I'm working on that you guys know about, I says, I want to tell you a little bit about myself, because once you see what I'm doing, you're going to say to yourself, because every step of this project is a higher step. I mean, you go higher. And like I told your son, if I think about the last step, I'll never get to the second step, because it's like crazy. Just even up to this point, it's been a lot, and I learned something new every day. And we're going to be quite a challenge now to deal with China. You got to go through an agent and this and that, and then it's every step. But I handle it. I'm handling it all, and I just want to wait until I get the final okay, and then I'll release that thing I make, and then I'm going to set up a meeting with HISA, and just take it from there. So we'll see. But anyway, your son, we barbecued some steaks.
Yeah, he told me he had a good time with you.
His girlfriend is a vegetarian, so we had to make some macaroni for her.
That's all right.
And we had some good desserts. And then we went up, and by the time I got upstairs with your son, I couldn't talk anymore. I was so exhausted. I just, I know what I wanted to say, but it wouldn't come out right. And so
if I could get rid of this, that would expand all the way over.
What you
And
got?
I said to him, I says, look, Mike, I says, I apologize. I says, just take some papers, take this book, read about it. I says, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. So he did, and he left. And I says, read everything and talk to your father about it. And if you have any questions, any thoughts, just let me know. And he said that he would. So
Yeah, he is.
okay, Manny says, yes, let's hit that like button for Larry. Let's go hit the like button. Yeah, okay. Howard, providing a good place with good people is priceless. So again, be well, Howard. Be well. Okay. Sundance, Big Bones.
Definite.
And he said,
Big bones. Well, big bones.
Jeffrey B says, congrats to the guy who comes on here whose horse paid a big price at Aqueduct on Saturday. Who's that? Congrats to the guy who comes on here whose horse paid a big price at Aqueduct on Saturday. I don't know who that is. I don't know. And
Oh,
listen,
that was that's what do you call George Anthony's partner there.
Steve?
Steve, yeah.
Steve, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, he he paid a good price.
listen, I know everybody watches football on Sunday, but this Sunday at 3:00 in the afternoon, right about a half hour before the 1:00 game ends, go to my channel. Go to this channel at 3:00. I'm going to have Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito was the founder of the Four Seasons, and he started with the Four Lovers, and he created that whole thing. And he hired Frankie Valli. He was with Joe Pesci. They were all together. And I was invited to his 90th birthday party in Los Angeles, and I flew out there, and his daughter and his daughter's son is coming on this show Sunday at 3:00, and we're going to talk about and show a lot of pictures of Tommy DeVito, of Pesci, of Frankie Valli, and the whole story, the inside story, the real story of how he started the Four Seasons, how he hired Frankie Valli, how they put together the Jersey Boys Broadway show, about the movie, about his life after Frankie Valli bought him out because of his gambling debts that they had to pay, and they tell that whole story, what happened and how it happened, and then what happened to him in Vegas, and it's gonna be a good show. I think what they're doing is they're putting together a lot of information, all family stuff, and they're writing a book, and hopefully it'll be a real good documentary or maybe even a movie about before the Four Seasons and after the Four Seasons.
So the 3 seasons and the 5 seasons.
Whatever. Anyway, make sure you tune in and watch it. It's gonna be good. Okay, let's see. Manny, Samson Memorials at Pocono. I remember a Samson back in the 80s at Pocono. Didn't that kid die? That Samson kid, the driver, didn't he die?
Bobby Samson.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the same guy he's talking about. I don't know. Okay, Sundance says Joe Guarino, Greg. Well, I can't say that last name. My
Greg
ex.
Wasserlook.
Yeah, that's she was married to him.
Yeah, I know. Greg, I like Greg. He's a good guy.
Told me how much you would stick up for him. Well, I guess you stuck up for him. Who'd you beat up that time, Joe?
I don't remember, but Greg was worth it. He's a good guy, good friend.
Yeah, he drops her off. they got divorced, but he drops her off at my house whenever she comes here, and he must be a good guy. I should know him because he worked as the, I guess, I don't know, I don't remember. Anyway, Eric, I spoke to Greg. He said, "Does it sound familiar, Joe?" Okay. Manny, Freddie Hudson, how are you feeling? Are you better? Yeah, that's right. Freddie was sick last time. Okay. Eric, Larry, I was curious. A fly girl is a girl who flies to you when she got money and flies away when money is gone. Did you experience them in your gambling days? So you're saying that a girl who's a fly girl, meaning that if I have money, she comes around? No,
A gold digger.
Yeah, I never had that experience. First of all, during them years, I was too busy to fly, and at night after the races, the only way I cleared my head was listening to music. So I went out every night, and I wasn't interested in picking up girls, talking to girls. That wasn't me. I was more worried about doing what I had to do. So no, I never ran across them kind of girls. In fact, during my days, there were two girls that really helped me a lot. And two girls really helped me a lot. One was making the payments. One was going to 3 different banks when I was kiting all the checks, and they helped me a lot. And the other one was the one that was with Bonnie Cutler. That was two girls helped me tremendously, and all just because of friendship. So no, I never ran across any gold diggers.
A lot of flies, but no fly girls.
Yeah. Okay, Manny, Eddie, you sound a little under the weather, buddy. Well, his computer is broke. He's on his telephone, and
Yeah, I'm trying. I could, it's okay.
okay, Larry, you have to put their names up, especially Joe and Eddie and Ron. Otherwise, people don't know. Yeah, this is the first time that the names ain't up there. How come?
Yeah, I didn't notice that. You're right.
How come? Who puts the names up? I never did.
Well, it looks like in the right-hand corner on my telephone is a picture of me with my name, so I don't know.
Yeah, me too, Eddie. Mine does the same thing.
I got nothing.
Hello, Ron. I forgot to say hello, buddy.
How you doing? Whatever happened with that horse? What happened with that horse they scratched? You were supposed to have a meeting.
Well, I had a meeting, and they came, and I proved them wrong, but yet they still kept me on the vets list. And in a way, I'm glad because I researched her, and I went to the OBS sale. Not, I didn't go there, but I contacted them, and they sent me the veterinarian report. And she has sesamoiditis in the left fetlock hind, and she has a fragment. What the frick? In the P1, which is the sesamoid right hind. It's in other words, it's set, but it's calcified, and I think the reason why she was getting off in the right front is because she was getting off on the right hind, and she don't know where to put her weight, left or right. So now tomorrow I'm going to X-ray the right hind fetlock to see if that the fragmentation chipped. And if it is, we remove it and we'll turn around and bring it back as a 3-year-old. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, no hurry.
Okay.
The owner
understands. Or is it calcified over?
It's calcified over. Well, that's what it says,
Yeah.
So it might have broke off. It might have, something might have happened. But it's taking precaution, and that's it. She's a nice filly. Even Larry, just just by our confirmation and looks, Larry said it's a nice filly.
Is that the one I tried the hood on that day when I was there?
No, she's racing. She's racing Thursday.
All right.
Matter of fact, when you put that hood on, I said, you know what? I'm going to put blinkers on, and I breezed her with the blinkers, and she went very, very well. So we're going to try her, see what happens.
Blinkers on, blinkers off. Ain't much else you can do.
Wax on, wax off, Mr. Biaggi.
What's the name of that horse, Eddie?
That's running Thursday, Dolce Sada.
Okay.
I got a nice 2-year-old by Yoban. She worked, let's see, a quarter of a mile, and she worked 20 and 4.
2-year-old?
So, yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. She worked in the sale,
Excuse me.
So
All
I
right.
got her up here. Huh?
I'm reading a comment from David Snyder. He says, Larry, there seems to be a significant reduction this year in horse fatalities. I don't have any stats, but that seems that way. Maybe only at a higher profile tracks. Do you have any statistics? Well, there's a lot I could say about all of what you wrote and asked. I can only tell you that there probably is a reduction in horse fatalities because of HISA and the demands that they put and the rules that they put. And so I think, in fact, I think Freddie told me that there is a lot less fatalities in thoroughbred racing since HISA came into the picture.
Well, I just want to tell you that Saratoga meet, there was 15 fatalities.
Well, David, maybe next week I will have a lot more to say about what I'm working on, and it has to do with, well, I'll say a little bit right now. I know that HISA started an investigation a couple of years ago, trying to investigate, and they did a heavy duty investigation too. I mean, they got the right people involved. They did everything right, and they came up with the figure that there's more than 8% of the fatalities are due to AFib. And that's just part of what I'm about to correct. And it's only part of it. But according to them and all their investigations and all the census they put on the horses, and they come up with that. They're seriously thinking of, because there's so many fatalities. It's not only that the horses are dying, but HISA is the only one that is taking a look at this, because in the whole world nobody has any statistics of horses that died because of heart attacks. They just call it sudden death. And that could be, and that almost all the time is heart attacks, but naturally it comes from, heart attacks come from for many different reasons. And I don't want to say I'm the only, but based on what they're saying, and I have their whole report here, they wired these horses up. They did everything to try to figure out why these horses are dying from AFib, why they're dying from heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and AFib. but the machines and the sensors that they put on these horses have absolutely nothing to do with telling the core body temperature of a horse. And now they're talking about doing cardiograms and everything. I don't know if they're going to wind up doing it, but I could talk a little bit about it now because I believe the patent is being written up now. And even if somebody says it's a great idea for the little bit that I'm saying, I'm way ahead of them. So my patent would be.
I would hold off a week or two, Larry.
Well,
Freddie just said two things.
what?
Freddie says that we're on a little bit of a delay, and he's been established as a HISA watchdog.
What the hell's that mean?
Just relaying the message.
A HISA watchdog.
Yeah.
Well, Freddie might be mad at me because of last week.
No, he's trying to text you, but he can't go on your phone.
Well, I'm not going to turn it on because I don't want to freeze.
Yeah, I know.
So Freddie obviously is
Put the
listening.
heat on.
What?
Put the heat on.
So anyway, if Freddie's listening, just I hope you're coming on Thursday. I know that you had a bit of a problem last week with. I know that you were probably sick, but I know that you might have been a little upset with me. But I look. I did what I had to do. I stuck up for Freddie. I stick up for everybody. So that's much I'm going to say about that. But I think Freddie would be a perfect guy for HISA to hire. And I wish they would hire him. And for once, somebody that's doing so much for the horse business, pay the guy. Just pay him. Just give him a job. He'd be the perfect guy. Because sooner or later, I really believe this, that HISA is going to be in harness racing. I think when they get to Kentucky in a couple of years, HISA is going to take over the whole horse racing industry, in both divisions, harness and thoroughbred. I really believe that. And I told Freddie what I sent you, Joe, I sent to Freddie, and I asked Freddie's opinion, and Freddie agreed with me 100%. And Freddie's the kind of guy that has because of all the work that he did in Washington and everything else, he has all the right people to really make this thing a very serious piece of, I guess you can call it equipment, that will save probably 1,000, 1,500 horses a year, because right now they really don't know if they just call it sudden death when a horse dies of when it just drops. But like me and you talk, Joe, what about when they get this AFib and the brain sends all these crazy signals to the heart,
Right.
they get AFib, nothing works right, the heart stops everything bad happens, and then they collapse. Now I have pictures of races that they're really too bad to show. It gets me sick when I watch them. So I don't know if I'm going to show them. I might just show one example or maybe two of a horse that's in a race that's actually having heat stress, going into heat stroke, and before the finish of the race, they just collapse. And I have one that collapsed and died, and one that wind up living. And they're out there with hoses and everything else, but he wind up surviving. This is a very and you know the best part of this. The best part of this is that it's well known. What I think I solved, the problem I think I solved, was well known to the industry 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago. But they couldn't do nothing about it because it's a natural body function. When a horse races, 85% of the blood that pumps goes to muscles, and and then when you're going full speed, you can't help but raise the core body temperature to 104, 105, 106. And that's just about, and that's why most horses that die from these sudden death things happen in the mornings. There's more horses that die of so-called sudden death in the mornings than in the afternoons. And them records are not even ever recorded. They only record they don't even record any of them. They just say he died a sudden death. What's the reason? Sudden death. They don't autopsy. They don't do nothing. But there's 3-4 reasons why the heart would stop or the brain would explode. And I'm going to show one picture of one. In fact, I showed it to you guys.
1 minute. Freddie says that he's an overseer of HISA. He watches over what HISA does. He is not mad at you, Larry. And him and Sal are friends, so there's no problem anywhere.
I know him and Sal are friends. In fact, Sal was on it. He had Sal on his show.
He says, I have to explain horse deaths that are recorded to HISA are coming in 6 months after the facts, meaning the lower rates. I don't know. I couldn't.
I can't show that's one of the horses that died. He wound up dying. But that's what happens with heat stroke. That's what I'm doing will completely eliminate anything like that from happening. And I can prove it with documentation that I have from 40, 50 years ago, right up to today, right up until just now. Cornell just did another test that I have. So, and I don't see how HISA could not make this basically mandatory. I don't see how they could tell the whole thoroughbred industry that you can't have a 1/4 of an inch grab on the toe. You have to make it 1/8 of an inch. And all of these thousands and millions of shoes that are made with a 1/4 inch grab, they have to go in the garbage pail. So if and to me, that don't make any sense, because you're going into a 4-inch cushion, 4 inches of dirt. The difference between a 1/4 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch is nothing going into 4 inches of dirt. Number one. Number two, wherever there's a grab, wherever there's a swedge, the dirt lodges into that. So a 1/4 of an inch becomes 1/8 of an inch anyway. So and that's what I mean. That's why somebody like Freddie should hire somebody like Freddie. I know that HISA hired a bunch of veterinarians and this and that, but I don't want to say too much about it because I have to meet with these people, and they basically control the whole industry. And in my opinion, they're basically going to control both divisions of racing in a few years. But the biggest industry right now between the two is thoroughbred racing, and they have all the say. And to prove it, they come out with 2 big reports recently. HISA did one that's been going on now for 4 years, and the last one that they did had to do with sensors that they actually put all over the horse. But that sophisticated piece of equipment, it does everything. It monitors the heart, it monitors the lungs, it monitors the gait, it monitors everything, but it don't monitor the one thing that causes all them things to happen, and that's the core temperature that builds up in a horse race. So they They never did that. And the reason they never did that is because they know that there's nothing that they can do to control the core temperature of a horse in a race. And what I did was, and that's because only 15% of the blood, and 96 gallons that goes through a horse's blood system that the heart pumps out during a 1 mile race. And I based everything basically on a 1 mile race. It's a minute and a half. So all the statistics I did were based on that, because very few races, even with the thoroughbreds, most of the races, I think probably the most common race is 6 furlongs, then 7, and then a mile, and then so very few go a mile and a half, maybe the big stake races. But what I created will it don't stop it because it can't stop it. But what I did with this thing that me and this scientist invented was delay the crucial temperature from climbing to 105, 106. It delays it 5, 6, 7, 10 minutes. So the race is over before it hits a critical temperature. It's just very much like putting, what analogy can I give? Like say you have a nail in the tire, and if it's a small enough nail and you have to drive 100 miles, you would make it. If it was a bigger nail, you'd only make maybe 25 miles. So what I'm doing, my thing would be like having a small nail in to take the place of the big nail. It just prolongs the temperature from rising for at least 7, 8, 10 minutes. And that's basically the concept. I'm not good at explaining these things. That's why when your son came over, I realized that I'm not good at explaining. That's why when I make this video, I'm going to go over my friend's house and I'm going to maybe do one sentence at a time. I'm going to have to write it out because I just can't remember it. I start wandering off. I'm going to write it out and then they're going to stop the film. It's going to be done professionally. I'm going to stop the film. And whatever I'm talking about, I'm going to have a picture. I'm going to have a picture of the heart, where the arteries go into the heart, where this thing I invented goes on, what it does, how it does it. And the whole bit will be explained in that. And I could even talk about, I know, Joe, you said wait another week or two, but there's nobody got, first of all, what I have, I'm the only one in the whole world that has it. This guy I'm with made it, invented it. It took months and months of trying and different things in different ways. There's nothing else like it out there. It sounds crazy, but there isn't. And that was the best money I spent talking with this guy. And we became very good friends. And originally he wasn't going to help me. But I says, please talk to me. And he says, well, look, I'm a busy guy and everything. I says, look, I'll pay you whatever you want. I want to talk to you. He would never talk to me on the phone. So he says, all right, look, I'll counsel you. I'll counsel you for $500 an hour. I says, fine. So he says, okay. I says, but can we do a Zoom call? He says, yes. So we did a Zoom call, and it just so happened that we got along great. We got along great. We were on the phone. We were there for, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. I don't even know. It was great. And then we got along so well that he texted me back. I must have 100. I sent you a lot of the texts, didn't I?
Yeah, I got him.
Yeah. And
I was on 3 hours last week, Larry, by the way.
What?
I was on for 3 hours last week counseling you.
Yeah. So anyway, he says, so finally he says, look, he says, I understand what you're doing. He said, it's what I've invented is for my project. He says, and I'm working with the fire departments and this and that. He says, but I will help you. So I says, okay. I says, but I says, I have no problem paying you whatever you want. He says, no. He says, that part is over. He says, well, we're going to work together. So I says, okay. I says, I told him what I needed, the amount I needed, how I needed it, and everything. And he sent me the packages, what I asked for. I showed your son that, Joe. I showed it to him. And now what I'm doing, I'm going to put it in a proper form. And in fact, I just ordered the machinery I needed to create this, to do a test, because you know who's going to do the first test, Eddie? You. I'm going to, when I'm done with it, I should get this equipment in sometime this week. I'm going to put together my whole invention and bring it down to you. And in reality, there's really no way to test it. And I hope that's not the problem I have, because the only way you can truly test it is
for universities.
Is universities on treadmills with sensors in the heart, in the lung, in the brain, and everything. Now I have them test that they did. They did a test like that, and I have that test. Now the only guessing I have to do, I did it with this guy, is you can't cool the brain pre-race. You can't cool it. The brain's temperature prior to a race, like going in, is 100 degrees. That's a natural. 100, 101, 199, right around it. So I say 100. So it's 100 degrees. If the brain temperature goes below 97 degrees, all the tissues that surround the brain start to disintegrate, and a lot of bad things happen. So now, how do you develop a cooling system, a heat absorbing gel that delays the temperatures from going too high, but you can't make the brain go below 97 degrees? But how do you judge that when there's hair, there's skin, there's a skull bone, and then there's the brain? How are you going to test this? Even at universities, unless you get a live horse and put some kind of sensor into their brain, there's no way to test it. So what I did, and what the scientists that I work with did, was we made just what I showed your son. He shipped it to me. I have it. I have 600 grams of it, and I slept on it. And then next day I sat on it for hours, and it works perfect. I mean, it's unbelievable how it works, and it's not water based. See, they have heat absorbing gels out there, but they're all water based. They work once, and then that's it. They don't unless you put them in a refrigerator or a freezer, they don't recharge. This recharges. Once you're done, just put it on the desk or put it in a drawer or leave it right in the hood. But I'm going to have a sleeve in the hood where you can take it out and wash the blinkers, and then put it back in. There's a couple of things I'm thinking about. Will it get attached to the blinkers with a sleeve that gets sewn into the blinkers, or with Velcro? So that's why I got to try both of them ways out. I'm not sure. I bought a bunch of heavy duty Velcro, and I'm not sure if the Velcro will stick to the material, for a long time. I don't know. I didn't try it yet, and I didn't try it because I'm not sure what blinkers I'm going to buy. I must have bought 10 sets of blinkers. Eddie gave me 2. I went with Eddie to the harness shop. I bought 2, right? $85 each. Sure.
Yeah.
I bought 2 there, but they're all made out of different materials. We need the material, and I'm saying we because everybody that's involved in this thing is going to be partners with me. I just can't give percentages away, because when the time comes, if this thing works, and we need some company that invests in stuff like this, that might put up a whole ton of money so we can order a large, whatever the demand is, and it should be a great demand. So I just got to just everybody, like I told your son, just for him coming here that day and looking and giving me his opinion, he's part of this whole crew. So everybody's involved. Freddie, everybody on the screen here is whoever I even talked about it is involved. And I don't. What?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, finish, and I'll say.
No, go ahead. I'm done. I
think you have to incorporate. Now that you said it's a hood, I think you have to incorporate a race halter into this hood. That it goes through something, so everything stays in place. Now,
Yeah,
the
but
thoroughbreds wear race halters. I don't know.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Very few of them do. See, that's the other problem. That's the other problem, Joe. The other problem is this: custom-made blinkers. Now, blinkers. First of all, they have to be made out of nylons, and 80% nylon, 20% spandex. It has to be a four-way stretch. So the gels are right on, because the contact has to be really good contact. It has to be pressed up. It's got to be right on. It can't be bouncing around. So you can't, there's blinkers out there for $26, but they're made out of satin, and no stretch to them, and they just get baggy.
Yeah, they're flimsy.
The problem with the four-way stretch is that they don't last as long as the two-way stretch. But the two-way stretch, stretch is good. It holds it down. But then on the other side, it's still, so the four-way stretch is best. But I have the right combination. I have the right thickness and everything else. I just have to find a manufacturer that mass produces these things, because the only company that makes them here, and I think they make it for all the harness shops, they have 4 women that actually make these things and sew them by hand. So when I said, what if I need 10,000 of these things? They says it take us a long, long time to do it by hand. So then I start investigating, and they're the ones that 90% of the blinkers that are out there are sold by this company, Finish Line. But now I'm going to call up the company that Eddie says, but I know that Finish Line sells to them. So they may be, but the blinkers I bought at that harness shop with you, Eddie, they cost $85, but they're perfect. They're perfect. And that's a two-way stretch, and they're pretty good. So two-way stretch lasts twice as long as a one-way stretch. But here's the thing. I think, and so does the scientists, think that this gel will last for a year. And so one of the problems that I'm dealing with in my head, like I say, I don't want to get too far ahead of it, because if I start thinking too far ahead, I'll never accomplish where I'm at now. So when I get to that point, I'll get to that point. But a four-way stretch, because I have a hood that's a four-way stretch. It's perfect. It's just perfect. The other problem I have is that 800 grams of the gel, the heat-absorbing gel, 800 grams will last for 10 or 15 minutes before the temperature of the brain gets to be where it's dangerous. In other words, it will delay the temperatures from raising above 104. And once you get to 105, that's the critical point. And then from there it raises. And what's good about this gel, 800 grams, is that it'll last for 10, 15 minutes after a race. Because right after a race, the horse's temperature actually goes higher. And the brain temperature is always 1 degree higher than the core temperature, which is the heart and the lungs and the muscles. And there's no sense in taking the rectal temperature, because that's always 4 degrees cooler. I mean, that's nothing. It means absolutely nothing. You can't take the skin temperature, because that means nothing. It's the core temperature that does all the damage. And the brain is always 1 degree warmer than the core temperature. And that's where, so the brain is the thermostat that has to be kept and in the hot human weather. And I have all the charts where what happens with the temperature. If the say the temperature is 85 degrees and the humidity is 85 degrees humidity, that's basically a death sentence for any horse running long. That's when a lot of bad things start to happen. Well, with this thing, that will never happen. It won't happen. And the other thing that I put in here that I don't talk about, and I don't know if I should leave it in or take it out, is that 62% of the horses that die from heat exhaustion or heat stroke or heart attacks are horses on Lasix. And because the Lasix depletes the whole body, you lose 4 gallons of body fluid by Lasix, and then you lose another 4 gallons of sweat in the race. That's 10% of the horse's water supply. 70% of the horses is water.
It also constricts the blood vessels.
Yeah, it does everything bad. And every test I have, it's between 60 and 70% of all horses that died heart attacks were on Lasix, and that's the reason. It just dehydrates them. And HISA is paying $700 and something. Now I hate to talk about that because HISA could make this thing mandatory. So, I don't want to tell HISA what to do and everything else, but the facts are that 65% of the horses on Lasix die of heart attacks. And the reason
Larry, let me ask you a question. Now comes winter time. Now the body temperature of the horse, it'll still be fluctuating the same temperature as in the summer, or it'll be less how would you say, less detrimental to having a heart attack or getting heat stroke?
Well, let me just say this. Naturally, when it's hot and humid,
Yeah,
it's
right.
worse than it's cold and humid.
Right.
The real killer is not so much the temperature, it's the humidity.
Right.
Humidity, probably 80% of the damage that's done, because the humidity, it's humid and it forces all the water in the air down on the body, and the body can't get rid of the heat.
Can't release it. Yeah, their pores close.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like putting a blanket on a horse, or even when they even when they hose these horses after a race with the thoroughbreds.
Yeah.
If
they don't scrape them off. Yeah.
Water that you put on them is holding the heat from coming out. You got to hose them down and scrape them right off. Just hose them down. You're doing more damage than good. You're better off just leaving them alone. And what we're doing with this thing is just delaying that process. Just like I said before,
Yeah.
if you delay the air from coming out of the tire by putting a small nail in, you'll go 100 miles. If you put a bigger nail in it, you'll go 20 miles. And that's what this is doing. And that's why my whole, for 30 years, I told everybody, even told a friend of mine last night that, by the way, his name is Peter, and he has that show. He has the show Live. What the hell's the name of it? Live Long. I have it right here.
Peter Tunis, right?
Yeah, Live Long, Live Life. He has a show on YouTube, Live Long, Live Life. He asked me my opinion of the show. I listened to it. It's 22 minutes long. It's an unbelievable. You got to watch it. You really have to watch it. He asked me to give me his opinion, my opinion. I called him up and I says, it's probably the best delivery, the most informative show I ever heard, and it's done professionally. It's unbelievable. You have to watch it. It's all related to health, and he starts off with smoking and to sugar and to this and to that, It's you got to watch it. I don't want to say it because I'm screwing it all up already, but it's an unbelievable show that's 100% the truth. And this guy, based on everything that he'd been through, he lost almost 100 pounds. He's off all his medication, and he went into this thing that he does now. He went into a deep study with this. A lot of research he did. So the name of the show is Live Long, Live Life, and the last one he just did is you got to listen to it because it's so true. All right, now back to our stuff. So now I don't know how they're going to handle Lasix because they're paying the veterinarians $700 and something thousand to find out the effects of Lasix when it's basically simple. I mean, what does Lasix do? Everybody knows what Lasix does. Now, what's the downside of Lasix? The upside is that it just lowers the blood pressure and it gets by getting rid of all the water and the fluid in there. So now flip the coin the other way. And what does that do? That slows down the bleeding process from the lungs because it does everything that it does. Get rid of the water, which makes everything smaller and they have less chance of bleeding. But then what about the downside? Nobody ever talks about the downside. What about all the electrolyte that they're losing? Every one of them electrolytes have a function that's no longer there. Not counting the fact that they lose 4 gallons of water just with 3 cc's of Lasix. I mean, I have trouble talking about this because I know what I want to say. The words don't come out, and so that's why I'm going to make the video. I'm going to write it out, and this way everybody can understand. Because I start talking in circles. That's what I was doing with your son the other day, talking in circles. And I says, you know what, Mike, just take this book, read it. A lot of stuff is not in there. The book I sent to you was the first time I put a bunch of stuff together, because when I research this stuff and I buy these books and everything else, I can't remember. So I have to print everything out. And I have 3 feet of papers because I don't remember anything. And so I gotta, and then something that I see that's important. I have the yellow, I have all these yellow markers and I mark everything. And that's what I've been doing. So I can put it all together, and then I'm going to make the video. So we'll see, and that's it. Here's the other problem. The other problem is this: I don't know how many thoroughbreds race with blinkers. I don't know that, but there's things about blinkers that I have that I don't have a problem with that I know for a fact. White blinkers reflect 98% of the heat from the sun. Black blinkers do the complete opposite. And I am surprised that all the top trainers, especially that guy that has Sierra Leone, all his blinkers are black. They're all racing 1.25 1.5 races with blinkers that cover their whole face. And the natural cooling system for a horse is 2 things: sweat and in the nasal cavities right here where the air goes in and it just goes up and it's near the brain, and that kind of cools the brain, even though it don't do much of a job, but that's it. Well, even though it does a little bit, they have the blinkers, black blinkers covering that just hold everything in there. Not only does it hold the sweat from coming out, it's absorbing the sun, direct sun, right into that. I can't believe it. So anyway, the one problem is, and this is the way it's going to have to be with my blinkers. From the eyes to the back of the ears is going to be white. It's going to be white because white and reflective stuff they one's reflects 99%, the other one 97%. So I'm not going to go crazy with that. I'm going to use the same kind of material, which is going to be nylon and spandex, but it's going to be white. And then if they want special orders, because you don't want to have every horse out there with white blinkers on, they're going to, whatever your colors are. If your colors are blue and you want blue and tan, whatever the bottom half of the blinkers will be a custom color. That's going to be another problem making them. But I can't think of that problem now because I'll just abandon the whole project. I'll handle that when the time comes. And I have a timeline of November, December, January, February, March, April, right around May. So I got 7 months to kind of figure all of this stuff out, find a manufacturer, do all the testing we have to do. Now, I don't know because HISA, I spoke with them and I printed out, I printed out 5 pages of rules and regulations that they want with any new piece of equipment. And I don't want to tell them that's idiotic. But maybe they won't, because look, if you have a set, when I put a pelling pacifier on the thoroughbred that I had, that won the race, by the way, I didn't have to get no permission. It's just a hood. Everybody was looking at it because they never saw nothing like that. But I said, just a screen over the blinkers. That's all it is. So maybe this is a little more, and I'm sure that they're going to want. But how are they going to test it? Are they going to put some kind of thing in the horse's brain to see exactly how much? I'm waiting for them to say to me, well, how do we know what temperature the brain is going to be? Well, because it becomes an educated guess, unless you want to put a solenoid, a sensor, in the horse's brain. It becomes an educated guess. What's the educated guess? You have 600 grams. You're going through hair, skin, and a skull bone. And so now to get the temperature in the brain, so it's not below 97 degrees, you might have to have a freeze melt melting thing on the gel of 75 degrees. Where anything higher than 75, by the time it reaches the brain, it's going to be 97. How's anybody going to tell unless you put a sensor right in the brain? I don't know how you're going to get around this, except that I can only say that I put it on my own horses. I put it on Eddie's horses. I put it on these horses, and we tried it, and it was fine. It was fine. And there's not even a way to check the core temperature of a horse unless you put sensors in their muscles. So how are they gonna test anything? I don't know, but I'm sure that they're gonna say, oh, we're gonna have to test this. They're gonna make a big deal out of it. Well, what are you gonna do? We're gonna send them to the university and is there, you have anything? There's only one way to test the core temperature of the body. Put sensors right into the muscle, into the heart, and into the brain. You're going to do that? And if they say no, then they're not going to allow me to do what I'm doing. And whatever money I spent is going to be wasted. I can't see them doing that when their main goal is to protect the horse. That's their main goal, to protect the horse. The safety of the horse. Once the horse goes down, and a lot of these horses that go down, these 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 horses that go down because of heat stroke, they probably break a bone or two. So they label that, well, he broke his bone, that's why he fell. But he really fell because of heat stroke. And it's still, even if you eliminate the ones that broke their bone because of heat stroke and they labeled it broke a coffin bone or broke a shin bone, still 8%. 8% is a lot of horses die every year from what I could stop from happening. So how are they gonna deny anything? How are they gonna say no, it don't work? And not only that, but even I'm talking too much about it now, but there's nobody that has the gel that I have. And even all these dog blankets that lay on the horses, the dogs lay on it, and they have blankets that you can sleep with that keep you cool, and mattresses that keep you cool. Them are all water-based gels. They don't last. They don't hold up. They don't regenerate. It's not bullshit because they work a little bit, but they certainly wouldn't be able to absorb. I mean, that's the other problem I have. 800 grams of this gel that my friend invented would definitely delay the onset for 15, 20 minutes. But 800 grams of gel is a lot. It's a lot. It's I think 600 grams. Say I forget, but I think 600 grams. What I'm reaching for is like 20 ounces, and that's a lot. That's like a regular bottle of water, and plus, that's I think 16 ounces plus 4 more ounces. Now the longest this sleeve has to be is 4 inches wide. That goes exactly over every one of Eddie's horses because I measured it. And the most it could be is 10 inches long because I can't make an extension on the blinkers. So it's going to end. Plus, the main part that has to be cool is in the front of the brain, in front of the ears, not behind. I always thought it was behind, but I was wrong. It's in front. So it's okay
Trained
that it
Genghis
ends
Khan.
an inch after the ears. So now how do you fit 600 grams into a 4x10 sleeve? Will it fit? It don't fit. That's 350 grams. I got to figure that out. And it's easy to figure out if you make it thicker, but you can't have it an inch thick because the bridle got to go over it. So the thickest you can make it is a half-inch thick, and that's thick. That's the first thing, but I'll work all of that out. The second thing is, what about the horses that never wore blinkers, that don't wear blinkers? Are they going to want to put blinkers on, even though they have no cups or nothing? It's the blinkers are just going to reflect the heat, and they're going to hold the gel packs in place. But will the trainers want to do that? How could they not want to do that? The blinker that you're putting on is actually helping the horse in reflecting heat. Unless you want the bottom half black, then you're an idiot. But I want my colors. Okay, you want your colors. Like the hell with the horse. You want your colors. So you have your colors. So the top part, even zebras. If you take a zebra that's out in Africa and you go right on the skin with the things that they have to take the temperature, and you take the temperature of the black stripes, they're 15, 20 degrees hotter than the white stripes. So that does make a big difference. But how are you going to get a guy like what's the trainer's name that has Sierra Leone? All his hoods are black.
Chad Brown.
All his hoods, he has horses that are worth $20 million racing with black hoods. And so far, they're all still alive. So he can say, Larry, go to hell, you and your. But it is what it is. Black absorbs 98% and white rejects 98%. So you can't win that argument, but he could win the argument because he could say, look, he's my horse. I'll do whatever I want. But don't tell the owner what you just said, So
Yeah.
who knows? But I'll figure all of these things out. I have these machines coming. They're supposed to be here by tomorrow, and I'm going to be trying different sizes and see how far down the forehead I can go. Because first of all, 400 grams will do it. But I want it to last during the post parade, a minute and a half in the race, and another 4 or 5 minutes after the race. 800 grams does that. 600 grams just about does it. So I'd like to stick with 600 grams, even though in some of the paperwork, I started out with 750 grams, which is really, really good. 750 and 800 is the same thing, but it's tough to get into a package that's going to go underneath the bridle. So Anyway, I guess that's enough of that stuff. Let's see if there's any more. I went on some rant there, huh?
Yeah, I was waiting for Manny to send you his favorite message from you.
Shut
You know
up.
the message you sent to Manny? You know what you always say to Manny?
Yeah.
I
Shut
was
the
waiting for him
fuck
to
up.
send it to you.
Oh man, Manny called me just before the show. Manny called me.
You know, you know what message I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Yeah.
shut the F up.
Yeah, I know. Freddie Hudson. Yeah, Freddie Hudson's on. Manny feeling somewhat better. Manny. Yeah. Okay. Manny. I know Manny wished him that he was. Yeah, he's feel. You know, that's a Freddie. I hope you got your flu shot. I got my flu shot the other day. Let me go down some of these things. Where the hell am I? God, got a lot of comments here. I hope everybody watches Sunday. Okay, let's see. Let's see what Eric says. Eric says, Sundance, I remember nobody ever had a bad word about Greg when I used to go to Pocono Downs. I really don't even know the guy, I don't think. That was, yeah, that was Sundance's husband, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard he was a good guy. Even Billy O'Donnell knows him well, and Billy's
Yeah.
a really good
Greg
guy.
was I don't know what happened, Sundance, but to me, Greg was always a gentleman. He was a good horseman, a good driver, and very friendly to me. Always got along with me real well. He drove for me, you know, I used him.
All right. Eric says, question for Joe. I have a theory this sock puppet who comes on here who mocks you may be the guy you punched out years ago. Who else would act that way?
There was a lot of guys, so, but I don't think so. He's not like that. And we shook hands after that. That was 30 years ago, and so I don't think that's who it is, but it could be a bunch of guys, and I think Larry knows who it might be.
Manny says, I have a horse racing now at Yonkers. I'll be back. So he's going to watch his horse race at Yonkers. What's he say? Through 5 races at Yonkers tonight, Jason Bartlett is 5 for 5. Wow.
Well,
Wow. Okay, Eric says, Manny, who owns and trains odds on Mamba? Who broke all-time record as a 3-year-old pacer? I have no idea.
Larry, that's Odds On Racing Stable. They come from Florida. They had a horse called Odds On Aquilius, and he is the sire of this horse. Is trained by Melanie Wren.
there you go.
There you go. There you go.
All right, Ronnie, we heard from you.
Okay, Dexter Dunn drove that horse, says enough. He's one of the best. No single owner on that horse owned by a corp. Eric, thanks, Manny. The sport should be promoting this horse as the next superstar. Manny, okay, Manny. I thought you were going to watch your race. True 2-year-old Blossom late. So the theory on true 2-year-olds or late foals goes up. True 2-year-old blossom later. The hell's that mean? True 2-year-olds blossomed later. So the theory on true 2-year-old or late foals goes out the window. But what do I know about horse racing? I know nothing. I have to listen to these guys, Eric. You were smart, Manny, if you listen to us guys. And if you want to talk about 2-year-olds, I'll tell you privately. I don't want to get in any arguments with anybody, but I have my own theory about 2-year-olds. And just to clarify the last thing about late foals or early foals, when you race a 2-year-old, especially like his first start or early in the year, there's a and just keep this in mind. They're not fully mature till they're 5. They don't even get rid of their baby teeth until they're 3. Now, when you get a horse that's 2 and one was born in January or February. The other was born in April or May or June. That's a 6-month gap. 6 months of growing is a lot. And I can go on and on and on and on, but I'm not. We're going to go down the list here. Jesse Black, Joe, can you jump in here? Joe, can you jump in here? Joe. Joe's a silent giant. Joe, that's why we had to bring it.
We couldn't get a word in. Larry was talking.
Well, I go on these rants, and the problem with me going on these rants is that I repeat myself because I forget what the hell I said 10 sentences back. So, Jesse Black, how can I call in aspect be added to this podcast? It is difficult and or costly. What's that? Jesse Black, how can a call in? I don't understand that. Okay, here's Joe. Eric.
He wants people to be able to call in, Larry.
What?
He wants the people to be able to call in, not just put up comments. He wants to call in live.
That's a good idea, but I'd have to have 100 phone calls. I have to have 100 phones. How would I do that? That's a good idea, but I don't think it's, I don't. How do you do it? I don't know how to do it. Half the time I forget to hit live on this thing. Okay, Manny says, nailed it, Tony. Writing is on the wall. Look at MGM. Jesse, what happened here? What happened? Oh, God. I lost it. Joe, Greg always speaks highly of you. He said he helped you at whatever that. Gary D. Larry, 600 grams is 21 ounces. Yeah, well, I think I said 20, didn't I? I said 20 ounces. 600 grams is right. 600 grams is 21 ounces. I said 20 ounces.
I wish it was gold.
Well, I remember I said 20 ounces because I know I said a regular bottle of water is 16 ounces, so it's 4 ounces more than that. So
Right.
that's what I'll be. What would really be great, but it's like impossible because they don't make. You probably have to make a real special machine. See, right now I have a sleeve that's 4 inches thick and 10 inches long. But what would be great if I can create like a cap that's all full of this gel where you can get 800 grams in, but you'd have to have a special machine built to have that, and then just put that right over, just like the crown of the head, over, put holes in for the ears, have the gel go all around the ears, down the back, down the front, right to the eyes, and then put the hood on to hold everything in place. But how do you build that? Where do you get a machine that could do that? All these machines, unless you spend, I'm sure you could. I'm sure if my father was Elon Musk, I'd say, Daddy, I need this machine, and he'd have it built in a day. But I think all these machines, they just cut, they just cut it straight. How long do you want it? How wide? 7x7, 4x4? I don't know, because that's what the scientist guy told me. He says when you figure out how much you want, how big you want it, because originally I said 2.5, 3 inches, but then when I went to the barn, I measured all Eddie's horses, and they were all easy 4 inches from ear to ear. So that's better.
You got to go as wide as you could.
Yeah, but like I said, if there's a way, I got to check that out. I got to see. I don't. If there was a way to make just a cap that goes just around the ears, over the skull, down to right before the eyes, and then put the hood.
You don't need to go to the outside of the ears. You don't need to do that.
Well, then what I'm doing is perfect. Just so I don't have to look it up, and I don't have to worry about special machines and stuff.
You just need a pocket about 12 inches long to slide this thing into.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. And then have the top closed so they can pull it out when they want to wash the blinkers.
Right.
Yeah. Now the other thing I was thinking, do I? And I mentioned this before. Do I sew the sleeve into the blinkers, or do I just put?
Yes, it has to be. Has to be sewn in. It has to have an open, or even an open at both ends. But if it goes 12 inches long, you might have to pull it through. You can't just push it through. You might have to do it from both ends. So you can have like Velcro in the front and the back to slide this thing through.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah. Yes,
You're not going to be able to push it from one end.
But you don't think Velcro would? I'm going to try the Velcro because it'd be a whole lot. It'd save a whole lot.
Velcro would be easy, and you get the good Velcro. It ain't going to open up. That's for sure.
You think it'll stick to the plastic?
If you get good Velcro, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Because that's
Don't get the stuff from the dollar store. You got to get good Velcro.
Yeah. I'm going to do that. I'm going to try. In fact, if I get that machine tomorrow, I'm going to be making all this stuff. And I don't want to, and when I make the video, I want to have the mannequin that I have with the hood on right next to me. I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it live with the hood. I'm going to show everything.
Lara, they do race with race halters, the thoroughbreds. They got the race halter with the figure 8, and they got the regular. Not me. You asked him.
Oh, okay. Well, then that solves your problem.
Yeah,
they got the race halter. They got with the nose band. Then they got the drop nose band, which they call the figure 8. It goes over the ears, down the sides, just like a harness, but they don't have the rings to put the head pole.
You could open up the race halter and behind the ears have a slot for it to go in to hold everything into place.
Yeah.
I'm going to do all of that adjusting after I get the right hood, and then I'm going to worry about it. I can't worry about it now. I can't worry about making a slot in the gel so the bridle slips into that slot. I can't be worrying about that stuff. I'll make all of them adjustments later. And if the horses do wear race halters, which a lot of the thoroughbreds don't, but the ones that do, the bridle, it's going to go in the same exact place as the crown of the bridle goes. So it's no big deal.
Right, but that moves. The race halter won't move because it's gone through the actual hood.
So what are you saying? You want me to make
I'm saying behind the ears, there should be a slot where the race halter could go through. Like you open it up and you slide the leather through so it holds everything snug.
Do you think that any groom in the thoroughbred business is going to open up a race halter and slide it through a thing and then rebuckle it again?
You don't have to. You could just have a piece of Velcro back there, open the Velcro up, put the race halter on, and then close the Velcro. Just so it holds it snug.
I understand exactly what you're saying, but you have to understand the grooms in the thoroughbred business. They're not
incompetent. They're incompetent.
That's not a big deal.
But you got to make it idiot proof. It got to be 100% idiot proof.
Yeah.
There's a lot of idiots out there.
Piece of Velcro and say, okay, you put the Velcro back over. Then things will be flapping all over the place. They'll never remember to do that. Okay.
I think it's simple.
Slightly speaks high. Okay, we already did that. Let's see. Manny got a lot there. You were watching your race, Manny. Tony, when Ron tells a story, he tells it good. I will say that. These guys tried pinning me against Ron one night, but I love him. What the hell are you talking about, Manny? All I said to you, we didn't try to pin you against Ron. You said something stupid. You said, and I remember the night.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, you said that if Ron went to one of the top trainers and he wanted to give him a horse, and then you had to stick your 2 cents in with the bullshit and say, Them guys wouldn't even talk to you. That's when I jumped all over you, and that's when I said, "Shut the fuck up." And that was it. So I didn't try to pin you against them. I just said be respectful. And that's why I thought Freddie might be mad at me. And he probably was a little when I told him the same thing. I will not let friends, my friends, and we're all friends. How would you how would you feel that if you had a podcast and Freddie does, and in fact, I was the first guest on this podcast, and I spoke for an hour, and Trade Martin got so mad because he edits it all, and Trade says you got to tell him this next time that, and I think I was on the show a lot, but then they cut me off after 30 minutes or so. But how would you like it if I was on Freddie's show? And then somebody said something, and I say, "Oh, Freddie, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about." I would never ever do that, but Freddie, you did it, and I couldn't let it go. So that's why I'm glad you're not mad at me, but you got to remember that. And Manny's listening right now. I had a lot of bad words with Manny because he said a couple of bad things about you and everybody else on this show, and I just straightened them out. I says they're my friends. And you shut the fuck up. And I said it right. I said it on the air, and I said it to him in person, and that's the way I am. And that's it. But now the windup is we're still all friends and everything else, but just don't disrespect nobody that comes on the show. Now I'm no king or no god or nothing, but that's just it. And that's it. And I defended Freddie a lot of times from a lot of people, and that's it. Anyway, let's see. Freddie Hudson, Ron, Larry, Joe, and Ed, are you all going to be able to make the next Roosevelt Raceway reunion? Date looks like January 31st at the Meadowlands. Well, if I'm in town, I will definitely be there. Now, Freddie, if you come on Thursday, I don't know if you're coming on Thursday. You got to let me know. But if you're all better and you want to come on Thursday, you're going to have to get some particulars because I think you're selling tickets for this or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. You're selling tickets. Where do you get the tickets? When do you get the tickets? Make up some kind of thing that I could post on the screen here. So anybody can anybody go to this thing? You got to be a horseman to go, or can anybody in the whole world go as long as they buy a ticket? And where do they buy it? You got to let me know about all this stuff. We got plenty of time, but if I'm in town, I'll definitely be there. And is it going to be the same thing like last time? There was a meet and greet thing where all the drivers were there, everybody was there, and everybody just got together. And then after a couple of hours, they all went upstairs to the dining room and had something to eat. Now, is that going to be included in the ticket, or do you pay if you go up to eat? You got to tell us. But either way, I'll if I'm in town, I'll be there if I'm alive. Okay, Larry, would you like if I come next Tuesday to read for you and help you out? No, Sundance, just stay home. I'm okay.
Say it in a nice way.
She's like my daughter, this girl.
I know. She's so nice to you, and you treat her like so.
She is so nice, but she's one of these girls that just want to give all the time.
You got old man syndrome, that guy.
I just want to. I want to do as much as I could. When your whole life you did everything by yourself, and then you get these girls that are needy. They want to help you. I'm not used to that. When I forget who I told. When I told I never had a birthday in my life, I meant that. I never had a birthday party. And even when I was 3, 4, 5, 6, both my parents worked 2 jobs. My mother worked 3 jobs. I never had no birthday, but I never had that. And it don't bother me. And some people, you didn't get me a birthday card. I could care less. I don't. All I'm worried about is I try not to hurt anybody. And I try to be respectful to everybody, and I try to help if I could. I don't care about birthdays. Do I wish you a happy birthday? Yeah. It's being polite and everything else, but half the time I forget. If I'm not notified on my Facebook thing that it's Joe's birthday, I'll forget. I had Juicy. I went to Juicy. Juicy is that, you know who Juicy is, right?
Yeah.
That's Cabert. That's who. Juicy's the only guy that Cabert wouldn't mess with. Juicy, and they grew up together. And Juicy was the one that they wanted to make, but Juicy was laid back. Juicy spent 44 years in jail. Anyway, I just went to Saturday night. I went to his 70th wedding anniversary. And the day before that was his 94th or 5th birthday. I didn't remember. He wishes me happy birthday on the 8th. And 2 days before that was his birthday. And I didn't. So, I don't remember. If it's not in front of me, I don't remember. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully he has a magazine or newspaper. I don't know what that means. Sundance, very good suggestion. Now, why would so what she's saying is that she wants to come to my house, sit next to me, and read all of these things. Well, first of all, Sundance, if you were here instead of making comments, 60% of these comments are yours. So they'd be very few that you could read. But I don't need you here because it's like I said before, it's a social club. And good. I'm glad you're here. It's the way for you, all you guys, to get in touch with one another, and that's great. But I don't need you sitting next to me. And then not only that, but then I got to drive you home. No, just stay home. But thank you. Thank you, Sundance. I can talk to her like that because she's like,
I know. Be kind.
Sandlance, when he wants you to watch the dog, tell her you don't feel good.
She always comes to watches the dog.
I know.
Eddie, it's blinkers on, blinkers off. That's it.
That's it.
Okay, Vic says, Larry, you need a famous thoroughbred trainer to sponsor your hood to whoever can get approved by whoever could approve it for racing. Bill Mott, for example, he would. But I could get to all of them guys. That's not a problem. The problem, the first hurdle I gotta get across is Heiser, because Heiser, I can't go around them. They control the whole business, so I have to get their blessing. And how are they? There's no way to test it. It's idiotic. And then we're going to have a problem if they say, we're going to send it to university, and if it takes a year to do this, and I'm going to say, look, I got a lot of money invested in this thing. I've been working on this thing for 30 years, more than 30 years, 40 years. And unless they tell me they're going to put a sensor in the horse's brain and muscles and heart, I'll just abandon the whole project. Because if they're not going to do that, there's no other way to test. There's no other way to test. Why don't you just let them race? Why are you allowed to? Now, you just said it before, Eddie. You're going to race that filly with blinkers for the first time. So all you got to do is report it. Just report it. They ain't going to stop you. And if full cups, do you have to report full cups or half cups or quarter cups?
No.
You go out with cheaters one week and the full cup
No.
the next.
No.
Anything, right?
No, just blinkers on.
Blinkers on. That's it.
That's it.
That's what they should do to me. Blinkers on. Only the blinkers have heat absorbing gels right on the crown of the head. That's all. What's the big deal? If they want to make a big deal about it, then because of the time and money that I have invested in this thing, then I'm going to be forced to say, and I shouldn't be talking like this because I need them. I'm going to be forced to go to Peter and the animal rights people and everything else and say, listen, they want to make a test. I'm willing to make a test, but but don't just keep a horse on a treadmill for an hour and then take his rectal temperature or take it. Don't prove nothing. Put a sensor in his brain, and then I'll agree. I'll agree with it. If you're not going to do that, what are you going to make me go on a trip for what reason? There's no reason. And not only that, but in your own reports, you've been testing this since 2022. You come up with AFib is a major cause of heart attacks, horses dying from heart attacks. That's only one. There's 3 other reasons. Altogether, there's 4 reasons. AFib is only one. I'm going to fix all of that. So you want them to go for bullshit tests where you're not going to put sensors in? So there's I can't see this in that. But in spite of all of this, when Joe's son came over, Michael. Now you all know Michael, very very sharp kid, very very smart kid. I gave Freddie the first book I put together. Freddie said, I love it. I love it. We're going to do this and this and this. And Freddie knows the right people. Then I gave it to Joe. I says, Joe, it's not all in there. The information about the results with the cap and without the cap, and all them charts are not in there, but just read the thing. Tell me if you like it. If you don't like it, tell me why. If I can't answer it right, I'll abandon the whole project. Joe says, I like it so far. Come up with a few suggestions and everything else. I said, Mike, his son, Mike. I says, Mike, come over the house. I want to show you everything in there. And after I got done, before I brought him upstairs, I brought him downstairs where I have all the mannequins and all the hoods and all the stuff. And he says, I like this. I think this can't miss. I like it a lot. I says, listen. I says, I want you to play devil's advocate. I want you to take all this information and take it home and read it and then tell me what you think. So far, I gave it to 4 people saw it so far, and all 4 says that it's good. And that's the reason I talked to your son for 2 hours. And I says, before you do this, before you read this, and before you got to know, everybody else knows of me, but you don't. So I want you to know about me. And I went into the 3 or 4 things that I had. I had the largest furniture company from North Carolina to Florida, custom furniture. I had the largest construction acrylic stucco company in the 5 boroughs. I had the largest nightclub in Orlando, Florida, and I went into all of it. And I showed them proof. I showed them clippings. I showed them booklets. I showed them everything. I had, and on and on and on. And I says, this is what I did when I started these things. I had no idea, but this is how I did it. And I talked for probably 2 hours, just about. So I says, now that's the kind of guy I am. If you tell me, see that empty lot across the street, I want you to build a 20-room, 5-story building, and have 20 condominiums in it, and have it done in a year. I say, all right, and it'd get done. It'd get done. So when you see this task, there's a million things, that hurdles that you have to climb and things that you have to. And I says, and I do them one at a time. Now it's getting to the point where it's getting, with everything else I'm doing, it's getting, and because of my age and because my mind is gone, it's getting difficult for me. And I just want to make sure that I'm not following my own crazy dreams. I've been working on this for a long, long time. And for years, I was looking for a material that would do exactly what this gel does. And there's no such thing out there. It's just not out there. There's a lot of cloth out there that says that it wicks the sweat. It does this, it does that. I bought them all. I have boxes full downstairs, and none of it really works. And now we need something that not only works, but works for maybe 20 minutes and regenerates itself without refrigeration, without nothing. And so far, everybody agree, because I told you, Joe, I says, if you don't think this is going to work, I will abandon this project. And I'll go on to something new. So we'll see. And when I make this video, I'm going to send one to Ron, and I'm going to send one to Eddie, and I'm going to send one to you, and I'm going to send one to Michael, and I'm going to send one to Freddie. And that's going to be the first step. And then from there, hopefully by then, I will have manufacturers, and I'll have everything lined up for the meeting with Heinzen.
Like Michael was saying to me today, he said the only thing that he sees it taking some time, because University of Pennsylvania or Tufts University or one of these veterinary colleges is going to want to test it, check it out for HISA. That's the only thing that might slow it down a little bit.
And you know what my answer to that would be?
Yeah, I know.
I agree if you're going to put a sensor in there.
Right.
If you're not, what are you going to test?
Yeah.
Rectal temperature means nothing. What are you going to test? How are you going to test it? And if they answer that question, how are you going to test it if you don't put a sensor in their brain or in their heart and in their muscles? What are you going to test? You're going to test the rectal temperature? The rectal temperature is always 3 degrees cooler than the core temperature, maybe sometimes 4 degrees.
Well,
it means absolutely nothing. In fact, the skin temperature sometimes is higher than the rectal temperature. Whatever, but we'll see what happens. Right now, we'll see.
the concept is good.
The what? The
The concept is very good.
Yeah. And if you go into this, I have in the book, in fact, the book I sent you, there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 pages of references, right, Joe?
Yeah, more.
Yeah. There's 3 or 4 or 5 pages of references from universities, from veterinarians, from everybody around the world. They all know of this problem. It is a problem. And then when them 40-something horses died a couple of years back at Santa Anita, half of them were from heart attacks, but they call it sudden death. And they took they've been investigating this since 2022, and all they came up with, and I have it right here, all they come up with their report was that they all agree that AFib, which is caused by heat stress or temperatures raising above 104, causes heart attacks. That's all they come up. Well, I know that. Okay, so that's great. So you know what their answer is, and I have it right here. Their answer is, we're going to have a big discussion now with all the veterinarians and talk about maybe giving cardiograms to horses before they race. On and on and on and on and on. And that ain't going to help. It ain't gonna help. I have the whole report here, and I'm probably saying it wrong, but I purposely looked up and was going to buy one of them. I forget what they call it, but it's a great machine, and they hook it up to the horse, and it tells you the heart rate, how much blood's being pumped. It tells you how big of a stride they had, and I was gonna buy it. It was, if I was in the business, I would buy one. It can't be that expensive because it's not very big, but whatever it is, if I was in the business, I would definitely buy it. I wouldn't care how much it costs. I would buy it. It's very helpful, but it does not, and there is nothing out there that you could hook up to a horse that will tell you the core body temperature of the heart, of the muscles, or of the brain. The only way you do it is with sensors put it into them spots. Anyway,
Freddie says HISA has already done these tests, similar tests. So that might be good.
Say that again.
Freddie says that HISA has already done these tests.
Yeah, he's
So
right.
that might be in your favor.
Yeah, it is in my favor.
So
I
that's
have,
good.
I have the report. Freddie
Okay,
told me
so
when Freddie read the information that I sent him, he calls up and he says, "This is great." He says, because Heisa did these tests and everything else, and what you're doing is solving the problem that they have. They already did these tests. I have the printout here. And Freddie knows a lot of the right people, influential people. And I says, Freddie, look, we're all in this thing together. You know, we're all in it together. Even if I spoke to you about it, you know, you're a friend. You know, look, if I had $10 million today, I would probably give it away after I paid my house off. Where am I going? The only thing I ever wanted to, I did everything I ever wanted to do in my life. I did. Just recently, I says, before I die, I'd like to go to Italy. I'd like to see what Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci did. And then I got more of a bug when Anthony went. And but that's the only thing and that just come recently. So if this thing happens and it makes a lot of money, we're all going to split it. We're all going to whack it up. All I want to do is pay for my house so Joanne can stay here, and she don't have to worry about the mortgage payment. And I might take a trip to Italy, and maybe I'll get lucky and meet a Verna Lisa down there or Gina Lola Brigida, a young one, and for a week.
you already got one.
You might meet a Cabert down there.
Yeah. Especially in Sicily.
I've seen this on Facebook. They have a woman, a blonde woman. I think she's blonde. The Italian president, or something.
Yeah.
She is something, boy.
She's the boss.
Yeah.
Oh, she was.
Okay, let's see. Okay, Manny says something about Ron. If Ron had a problem with what I said,
Oh, there you go.
say, all right, forget about it. We're not going to rehash old stuff.
How'd you do at the race, Aspen?
What?
How did
Larry,
you do at Yonkers?
Larry, I don't have a problem with Manny. This is
All
a
right,
country
Ron
with
has
free
no
speech.
problem.
He can say whatever he wants to say. I just want him to keep in mind that this is a talk show. That's what people do. They talk, right? We don't have to be 100% accurate with everything we say, as long as we contribute. But I certainly, not at the risk of being repetitious, I never would go to any of those big guys and ask them to take any kind of a claimant for me. I was just making an example that I wouldn't go to them for anything. Period. That's all I was saying. So, you know, Manny, I see the comments. He says he likes to hear my stories and hear me talk. But I guess on this one instance, he didn't want to hear me talk. So that's okay. But I don't have any problem with him. He's a tough guy. He has taken a lot of abuse on this show, and I have to give him credit for that. So I have nothing to say about it. But he says he likes to hear me tell a story. So I'm going to tell him one quick story. All right.
All
Everybody
right.
hear of the horse Nero?
Yeah.
Nero?
Okay. Nero,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
A guy by the name of Jim Crane trained him. He was a very nice guy, but he was kind of a little bit on the bit all the time, and he was like a half-ass inventor. When the horse got good, he had him at Roosevelt Raceway. In the inner circle, they had a couple of barns that burned down that one year, and they made it a basketball court. Well, the first barn to the north, he was in. But he was so hyper and nervous about this horse that he hired a night watchman. But what he did was he got one of these portable sheds that fold up. So, you know, like it opens up, it's just enough room for like a beach chair there with a door and a window. So he hired this guy. I'm not going to say who he is. He's a very nice guy, but I don't know if he's still living, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, he sat right in front of right out, not in the barn, but outside in this little night watchman shed. Well, in the morning when Jim Crane got there, the only thing that was there was this guy sitting in the beach chair, sound asleep. Somebody actually lifted the shed up and stole it and went away with it.
While the guy was sleeping?
Yeah, while the guy was sleeping. He never woke up. when they found him, he was still in his beach chair, sound asleep. And somebody lifted this thing up above, folded it up, and took it and drove away with it. That's a true story.
What a nice watchman.
That's a true story. I mean, everybody in the whole racetrack was laughing about that. It was like,
Oh,
He
crazy
had a
thing.
Nero and a zero.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
He says, I am not selling tickets. It will be from the SRF or the Meadowlands. Well, Freddie, maybe Thursday, if you come on, you tell us how to get them, what to get. I mean, it's 3 months away, so we got plenty of time. What Sundance say here? Eric, I was supposed to be at Larry's today, but it turned out to be a bad day. I didn't know that. I didn't know you were supposed to come here today. Yesterday was the day I probably needed you. I had to go make a trip, and I was gone all day from 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get back till 5 o'clock at night. And man, oh man, it was tough.
You had to go see George.
My back was killing me. Oh God, that's terrible. And you have that sciatica problem, and you're sitting in the car, and there's no escape. You just got to sit there in traffic, and then that route 301, I think it is. If you go 1 mile over the speed limit, you got 15 cops chasing you. Tough day yesterday. Okay, let's see. Larry is talking too much tonight. If he was talking to an elephant, his ears. Manny. Let's see. Larry, I worked for you over 40 years ago. I know how you are. You had once already asked me to read for you once. I did. Okay. Well, I'm taking that back now. Okay, here's PM. Larry, you said some judges don't know anything about horses. Did you ever see a track superintendent that knew nothing about a track and you could blame them for any horse you had? Absolutely. You're 1,000% right.
Yeah.
Well, you're 1,000,000% right. I can name 3 racetracks right now that got destroyed because the track superintendent didn't know what the hell he was doing. That's number one. Number two, I did the whole podcast on this. Every track should be surveyed once a month for the bank and the turns, because that would save a lot of lameness. It would save a lot of problems. And after a while, grading and sometimes scraping the track, you lose the bank and the turns. And I couldn't believe that when the thoroughbreds, the first year the thoroughbreds came here, I happened to be with the track superintendent in the back by the shed. And the representative for the horsemen says, we'd like to know what the banks and the turns are. And I probably the bank and the turn. I mean, he said 3 or 4%, which is bullshit because they never surveyed it, and I never saw them rebank the turns. But anyway, but assuming they did, he said 3 or 4% bank in the turns. And the thoroughbred guy says, well, we'd like to take it down to 1. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I wanted to get a hold of the guy and say, what are you, nuts? If he said 3 or 4%, you should have said 6 or 7% or 8%. I couldn't believe it. They want to run on flat turns. I don't believe it. They do.
Centrifugal force alone is going to.
Yeah, it sends you right out to right field. Not only that, but if you saw the pressure, if you saw the thoroughbreds running at 40 miles an hour around the turn, and you see the pressure that goes on these joints, especially the lower pastern joint and the ankle.
The ankles and the pastern, forget it.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ! And that's what I mean. That's what I mean about putting the right people in the right place. But then again, if you got a good track superintendent, he's going to survey the track. He's going to make sure that the turns are banked. But what do you do when you get the thoroughbred people that come in and say make the bank 1%? You know, you want to grab them by the throat and say, "What are you kidding? Oh, what are you nuts?" And then give the reasons why. And I didn't say nothing. It wasn't my place to say anything. But I would have just liked to say, why 1%? Why not 3%? Why? What's the reason? I just don't get it. And that's what happens when I'm in the thoroughbred business. When I run across a lot of things, and that's why the first time, and I didn't even get involved the time when I was with Joe Aquilino at Aqueduct in the kitchen there during the break, because they closed the track down for an hour. I don't know about now, but they closed the track down for an hour, like between 8 and 9 o'clock, so they can grade the track and everything. All the horses have to be off. So we're all in the track kitchen, and I go with Joe Aquilino, and there's a bunch of guys there, all of the trainers, and they're talking about something, and I don't say a word. I don't say a word because what I was listening to was a bunch of bullshit and nonsense. And the more I listen, the more I say, how do these people even get trainer's license? But anyway, they're talking about something, and then one of the guys, and I'm sitting right on the end next to Joe, and one of the trainers says to Joe, "Oh, what about your what do they call what's the name?" He says, "What about your friend? What was the word the thoroughbreds give the standardbreds? Something about the head.
Jughead.
Yeah. What about your jughead friend? What's he have to say about that?" And I said, "What'd you say?" He says, "Well, what do you got to say about that?" And I turned the table upside down, and thank God that Joe Aquilino was with me, and thank God that Vinny Hogan was head of security, and he was the one that got me my license back. So the guy reported me, and I turned the table over, I picked up the chair, and I flung it at him, and I just walked out. And then, sure enough, within an hour, I got called to Vinny's office, and I told him what happened. And Vinny Hogan was the one that put me with Joe Aquilino. He says, "Stay with this guy. Don't get yourself in trouble. Just stay with this guy. I got your stalls in his barn. He's a good guy. He's an ex-fireman. Stay with him." And then the first week I'm with him, I turned the table over, hit a guy with a chair. So that's why it's the standard. The thoroughbred business is tough, and it's so hard. It's so hard to talk to these people, these trainers, the big shot trainers, because they talk such a game. Even Alan Sewell, who was my dear friend, but I mean the line of shit that he come up with for his owners, and oh God, and it's I don't know.
It's part of the game.
It's such a bullshit game. It's a game of remove, replace. That's it. Remove, replace.
Larry, it'd be hard to beat that story that Jerry Silverman told his owner.
Oh, about the boat?
Yeah.
Yeah, God. Oh, man.
That's
yeah, that was a good story. But he was in a lot of trouble. He was
yeah.
There was a guy up there. I'll tell you his name because I'm sure he's dead, because he was a lot older than us. His name was Tony Karubi, wise guy from right around where Jerry lived, right around by Yonkers in Queens. And he was I owed him a lot of money too.
He was from the Bronx, wasn't he?
What's that?
Wasn't he from the Bronx?
He might have been.
Astoria.
Astoria?
Tony Karubi.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy, but a tough guy. He's a guy that wouldn't put up with no nonsense. And I always showed up. But whether I had the money or not, I'd show up and said, I need another week. I need another week. But Jerry wouldn't show up. Jerry just wouldn't show up.
That's
And
bad.
and he was looking to hurt him. And one day we were staying at the Tradewinds Motel, and I told the story before. And every morning at 6 o'clock, we were down to the lobby, and they had a coffee machine there with donuts. And I come down, and I see Jerry packing his car. And I says, "Where you going?" He says, "I'm supposed to have money for Tony. I can't take this no more. I got getting out of here." He says, "But don't tell him." And he took everybody with him. He took that really nice kid with him too. He died of that disease. Oh, what a good Gary Baker. Gary Baker, yeah.
Yeah.
He took him with him, and also the other guy, the crazy guy, the drug addict, Larry something. Anyway, he took off, and he went to California, and he didn't come back. By the time he didn't come back until everybody he owed died. They all died, and I paid everybody back, and he paid nobody back. But when he came back,
you got that right.
And he built 100-stall barn on the training side at Pompano Park. Ain't that right, Ron? I think I got that right.
Yeah.
100-stall barn in a row. 100 stalls in a row.
Yeah.
Van Lennep gave him permission to do it. Hector. Yeah, his Hector, Fred Van Lennep's son. Another big fat jerk. So when he came back, he came back in really good shape. But when he was in trouble, he was that story with Habib. and
you know, Larry, that guy Harry Habib was really a nice man. He was
Yeah,
a nice man, honest guy, and he had a ton of money. I think that it would have been Jerry a lot better if he just went to him and just told him, you know, please help me out some way, and I'll deduct X amount of dollars on your training bill every month. But what he did to him was just flat out stole from him, right?
Yeah.
Flat out embezzlement through trick and design is what they call it.
Yeah.
That is not. I like Jerry, but that was wrong, dead wrong.
Yeah.
Do that to an owner and a friend.
When I wrote the book, I called Jerry and I asked him. I says, "Jerry, they want me to put the good, the bad, the ugly, and a lot of funny stories in." I says, "My life, there was nothing funny about my life, so I don't know any funny stories except the one that with you." So I says, "Can I tell it?" I says, "And keep in mind, you're going into the Hall of Fame in about 3-4 months." And he says, "I don't care. Just." I says, "You sure?" And then I call Richie, and I asked Richie, and Richie says, "Well, my father says do it." And I said, "Okay," and I did it. I put it in the book. So, but that was. But when Jerry got a hold of you, as soon as that right arm went up over your shoulder, and he whispered in your ear, "Booby, you were in trouble." Alan Sewell had the same kind of reputation. Not reputation. He had the same thing. I never forget the day at Monmouth. A guy, because Alan made a lot of money, but Alan was a crazy bettor. He would bet $1,000 cold exactor, and he owed all the tellers at the $100 window at all the racetracks. he all owed them. They all shylocked the money, and it was a wheeler and dealer, and big gambler. And he I forgot what the hell I was going to say. What I was going to say, I forgot the story I was going to tell. So I forgot. See, that's what happens to me. I forget. Anyway. Oh yeah, the guy we're at Monmouth Park, and Irwin comes in and says, "So and so is coming down here." He said he's going to bash your head in or something. That Alan owed him $10,000, and he promised him. Alan kept jerking him around, and finally the guy calls up the barn. Irwin answers the phone. He says, "Is Alan there?" "Keep him there. I'm going to come down. I'm going to bash his head right in. He's been jerking me around. Well, so naturally, me and Erwin stood by the office. Alan was in the office, and the guy come and we tell us, just take it easy and just take it easy. Don't let nothing bad happen in there, and we'll be right outside the door here. And about 10 minutes later, the guy comes out and he says, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So Erwin says, what can't you believe? He says, he got me for another 10. That's how Alan was. The guy come to kill him because he owed him 10, and he gave him another 10. So that's how Jerry was. That's a gift them two guys had. Okay, here's a question from Eric. For anyone, any update on? No, I have no idea. I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. Larry, that's why he wears all white into the Sikh religion. What does that mean? Larry, that's why he wears all white into that Sikh religion. I don't know what that means. Maybe somebody else. I don't know. I don't know what it means, Jeffrey. Let's see. Let's go down. No charge yet, sticking to 6 months. Sorry, stay away from Vatican. Larry Cox, I want to go to Italy on a ski trip. Just saying, in a cabin and eat and drink. Well, you could do that right here. Just go to Vermont. What you want?
That's true, Larry. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Let's go to Vermont
Yeah.
and save about 20,000.
Yeah. Okay, Jeffrey. DOD, you guys hear Yonkers said no to table games. Something is fishy there. Yeah, it's all politics, and I heard the reasons why. I don't know what to believe. It has no effect on my life, so I have no comment. Let's see. Eric, Sundance, would Greg be interested in coming on as a guest?
That would be nice.
Larry Cox, I was in the Mount Harness track opening night 3 weeks ago. 2 horses broke down. Very first race. They canceled races over the weekend. There's a lot of stuff going around.
You should invite Greg Waslick on it.
He can come on anytime. Anybody can come on anytime they want. Just give me a email address. That's her ex-husband. She says he's a real nice guy.
I second that.
Sundance, set it up. Set it up. He can come on. I'm very happy now. This thing is an hour. We're doing this for 2.5 hours.
You mean you're doing it for 2.5 hours?
So, yeah, I know you were sleeping for a while there. I saw your eyes closed.
He was thinking, Larry. Joe's meditating.
I shut the phone off. Since I've been shutting the phone off, it never went by because I don't want it to go. I don't want it to freeze up on Sunday when I have
When you have the 4 seasons here.
4 seasons and Al Natoli, who's Joe Pesci's double, who've been with them. He has all the stories too about Pesci, how Pesci went with Frankie Valli to Tommy DeVito and how he got him in the whole thing, and they were all together. And
Frankie Vincent was involved too, wasn't he?
Well, we're gonna find out Sunday. I don't know, but Frankie Vincent was. They were all part of that. They were all together.
Yeah.
In fact, they're gonna. I have that picture too. I showed it. They were all barbers. In fact, it was Joe Pesci cutting Frankie Valli's hair. He was a barber and a numbers runner.
Yep. I saw you on YouTube with Shaman.
Who, me?
Yeah.
What was I doing with Shaman?
She was playing the piano at first, and then she brought you on as a guest on YouTube.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, I just saw it the other day.
But she's the one that helped me write the book.
Yeah.
Because when I wrote that book, they basically, I really didn't want to do it, between Frank Collada and Frankie Vincent, they basically made me do it. And Charmin and Alfred, because they all knew me from the time we were all kids. And but I called up everybody and I says, remember any stories about me? And then we got hundreds and hundreds of stories of things that I did, because I only know certain things. I don't remember everything. But then I was told that you got to keep it under 85,000 words. Michael Benson was the guy who's on the cover with me. He was the one that told me I have to Frankie Vincent and they told me to self-publish it, so I own it. And then Frankie Vincent, he wrote the forward for the book, and anyway, I couldn't go more than 85,000 words, and they wanted me to put a lot of girls in there and funny stuff and everything else. And I forgot why I was telling this story too. So, see, I that's what happens to me. I get bad.
All right, Larry, I'm gonna take off, man. I'm dead.
Go ahead. You're up too late.
Good night, Edward.
Take it easy,
Good
Eddie.
night, everybody.
Have a good week.
Yes, sir. You
Fix
too.
it.
Stay well.
Thank
Fix
you.
your computer, Ed.
Hey, Eddie, before you go, what was the harness shop that guy said he thought the
Jack's.
Jacks? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh God, what did I do? Okay.
All right.
Okay, what happened here? Larry Cox, Manny, Ray Schnichter's horse won, just won, 1-9. Larry, who's Ray? Larry, who's Ray? I don't know what you're talking about.
Ray Schnicker, maybe. Larry, who's Ray?
I don't know. No clue who that is. I will Google him. Give me a few minutes.
He must be joking.
Yeah, he's kidding. He's just kidding about that.
Maybe he hit more than the cigar.
Geez, I got nobody. I made this special thing. Let's see who we can't give it to nobody. Ever since I made this sign, I only had to use it once.
Twice.
Twice?
Yep.
How do I get out of this thing now? Oh, okay. All right. What else you want to talk about? Anything else, or should we pack it in? It's been an hour and a half, and we didn't freeze. I hope we don't freeze on Sunday.
What an hour and a half? 2 hours and 23 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Larry, I just wanted to ask you one question. What do you base your opinion on that you think that Heise is eventually going to infiltrate into the harness racing industry?
Because somebody, I can't think of who it was, very, very knowledgeable person says that when they get to Kentucky, Kentucky will welcome Heise with open arms. That's what I heard. I forgot who told me that, and I think Freddie would even verify that, but I forgot who told me that. But it was a pretty high up person. You know, I didn't ask too many questions because it has no effect on me at all. But that's what I heard, that Kentucky will welcome Heise with open arms.
They'd have to make some serious changes because
Yeah.
there's no way you could race horses every week without taking care of the maintenance.
Yeah,
Larry, you think they're going to use the same rules and regulations and the full force of enforcement that they do with the thoroughbreds, with the standardbreds?
Well, I think the standardbred people that are in Kentucky
Wouldn't put up with it.
are gonna demand changes. They're gonna say, all right, we accept this and this and this, and they're gonna have to change because I think they're starting to know. I spent 2 hours at Eddie's barn. I went to Belmont Park, and Eddie had a vet come over, and I spent 2 hours talking with this vet, and and he told me a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of people, and I shouldn't even be saying this because, like I said, I'm gonna have to deal with them. But they're spending a lot of money on attorneys fighting lawsuits, and because they just slammed the lid on everything. And they have a lot of lawyers on the payroll, and they're spending a lot of money. And every time they ask for more money every year, and it's almost up to $100 million a year now. So I mean that's a lot of money.
But you think they would have the same rules and regulations for standardbreds they do for thoroughbreds? Like a standardbred needs post racing very much because they race every single week.
Absolutely, you're right, and I'm sure the people in Kentucky and the people, including Freddie, are going to tell them that you just can't. It
can't be done. It can't be done.
Okay, so that means then they're going to relax the rules for the thoroughbreds to be similar to the standardbreds.
Well, that's a good point.
Because you can't have two standards. You know that. That's illegal. They couldn't possibly have two standards. A horse is a horse. They can't say that one rule and regulation is good for a thoroughbred, but it doesn't matter with a standardbred.
You're 100%
you
right.
said they have plenty of lawyers. Well, those lawyers are going to sort that out because there's no way they could have two different standards. Because the first thoroughbred trainer that got two brains in his head would file a class action suit against them for discrimination. Bill Clinton, one of the few things he did good, besides not rocking the boat, he passed a federal non-discrimination law, which goes right into the workplace. You cannot discriminate for any reason whatsoever, and that would be discriminating against thoroughbred owners and trainers, and not the standardbreds. So I think that they have a problem unless they bring the exact same rules and regulations and things they do with the thoroughbreds into the standardbreds. That's not going to be able to hold up. And they do have plenty of lawyers. They have plenty of lawyers, and those lawyers are going to tell them, you're going to run into a lot of problem. And then you're going to get a guy with a lot of money, a thoroughbred guy with millions of dollars, and doesn't care how much money he spends. And he'll get a court injunction against him, lock him up for 5 years. And at the end of 5 years, Heise will be out of business. So I'm not saying exactly, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but I do know that I would have a problem if I owned thoroughbreds. I would have a problem with knowing that Heise relaxed their rules for the standardbreds.
That's a good point. I never even thought
because
of that.
a horse is Larry. A horse is a horse. They're not gonna, and they're not that knowledgeable enough to say what the difference is. Do you know this? The president of this Heise, this Lisa Lazarus. I will say she's a very accomplished woman. There's no doubt about it, and that's one of the main reasons why they put her in charge here. Do you know that she was a model and an actress, and in 2008 won Miss Universe in Great Britain? Then she worked for the NFL for 10 years in public relations. She graduated from college summa cum laude. This is a person that you'd want to put in charge of a business that you wanted to make money, and that's exactly what Heise was made for, to make money. And that's what they're doing with their fines and charging you to race and a percent. I think they get 5% of the purse too. What gives them a right to take 5% of the purse? I mean, I never heard of such a thing. Right?
Yeah,
Freddie's right. They're not federally funded, but they make all their money through this stuff. Plus, what I don't understand is that the thoroughbred jockey clubs sponsor them and everything. So I don't. There's a lot of stuff that people don't know about. But I do know that you cannot have a double standard in industry for any reason whatsoever, and they would have a hard time telling a judge what the difference between a thoroughbred and a standardbred is physically. As far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean? And as far as Heise is concerned, listen, it's an 8-man board. 5 of them have absolutely no knowledge of what a horse is whatsoever. And the other 4 only know that it has 4 legs, a tail, and a head. So that's the truth. Other than that, I mean, really, if you were going to put together a board for the health, safety, and integrity of the horse racing industry, which I certainly believe in, there's no way that any horse should be abused to the fact that it would cause them to show that picture that you did tonight and all those nights. But what I'm just saying is, you put that together. Why would you have somebody on a board that knows nothing about anything, right?
It would
I
have
mean,
to be made up
to
of
me,
some horsemen.
yeah, it's crazy. They should have notable trainers, veterinarians, people that are knowledgeable in the business. Someone like Eddie or Joe that know the inside and out of a horse, and if this would be good or that would be good, but not just put somebody make up a board, start off with $80 million, and then say go get them, because that's basically what they're doing. But
Yeah.
if you look into the biography of this Lisa Lazarus, and I was just starting a business that I wanted just to generate money just because I could get away with it, because it was conceived by the federal government, even though they don't get money. I put her in charge of it because she's very smart and she knows how to do it. Very personable, very nice, and all I can just say is that when you talk to her, Larry, and you certainly don't need my advice, I'd be well aware of what I'm talking to and what I'm looking at, because these people have the capacity of making money out of nothing. And as far as I'm concerned, this is exactly what it is. All this is extorting the horsemen for fees and everything else. I just read here that they because the horse was pin fired in some state, that they said the horse can never race again. Can you imagine how many standardbreds would never be able to race again if if pin fired or freeze fired? Come on,
At one point in their life.
Yeah, they don't even, like I said, they don't know anything about it. In order to know something, to like something, to be passionate about something, you have to have experience in it and love it and be in it. And I'm not just talking about for 6 months. I'm talking about for years, just like Larry did. The reason Larry is so knowledgeable is because he absolutely loves the animal and he wants to know every single thing about it and every aspect about it. That's why when he got done, after getting to the track at 6 o'clock in the morning and doing all his work, followed the veterinarians all around every other barn so he could pick up and absorb every little bit of knowledge that he could, because he loved the sport so much, right? That's what you need on the board, not a person that says, okay, that's $100. Okay, you can't race anymore. I know I'm being repetitious talking about it. To me, it's absolutely a joke. The premise is correct, and I agree with it. But the way they went about it and what they're doing and how they do it, and by having these non-experienced people on there, and the majority of them are all lawyers, they must have known that they were going to run up against some problems by hiring all those lawyers, right? And like I said, if they ever think of adopting two different standards for the racing industry, thoroughbred and standardbreds, they're going to run into some big problems, and it's going to cost them a lot of money. And like I said, somebody with a lot of money and just doesn't give a shit how much they spend, they just want to prove a point. They can lock them up, get a federal judge to grant them an injunction, and they won't even be able to talk to them for 3-4 years. And to the people that are involved, and before you know, it'll be over with. You know that the fifth county, the fifth court in I forget what state, found them unconstitutional, and they're trying to bring them to the Supreme Court. Other courts have found that it's okay what they're doing, but they're not decisive in their rulings in any way. But like I said, I believe in the premise. I believe what they're trying to do, but not by throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's exactly what they're doing, and it leaves a lot to be desired. And to come into the standardbred business, I don't presume to know half as much as Joe or Larry or anybody else knows, but from what I've learned in the standardbred business, that horse has to be taken care of after he races. He has to have electrolytes. He has to have a jug, amino, copper, liver, and iron, all the time, to bring them back to what they are, to get their blood right, to get their chemistry right.
Right.
And to say that you can't do that anymore. I mean, Joe, how many times have you injected knees and hocks and raced the horse that week?
All the time.
All the time, right? You might give him some hyaluronic acid and touch it up with a little cortisone,
right.
And then it gets better after a couple of weeks. But,
right.
but you race them. You do that on a Monday. You race them right back on Saturday.
They're good on Friday.
Yeah, that's right on Friday. But with
Yeah.
with Heisa, you can't race for 30 days.
That's
Can
ridiculous.
you imagine what the
Especially coming out of the NFL,
yeah
where they take quarterbacks in at halftime.
right
They inject them at halftime. They block them,
that's
and they're
right
out there the third quarter. So
right
how can Lisa Lazarus say that you can't race the horse for 30 days, but in the NFL they could do what they want at halftime?
yeah
I mean,
yeah
really, think about
yeah
it.
and it's ridiculous because racehorses. I mean, if you want to say that other than the time they're racing, I mean that's what they're born and bred for. But they have a great life. They're taken care of. They have a veterinarian that looks after them every day. I mean,
Amazing life.
yeah,
You
no
know,
matter what happens to them, people are panic stricken if they're this or that. They take one bad step or they do anything else, and these horses wouldn't even be living if people didn't spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to breed them and have them born. I mean, that's what they're bred for. That's what they want to do. They want to they want to race, and to not ask them for a little bit extra in the last 200 yards, 100 yards of a race. Because you're hitting them with a whip with a piece of foam rubber. That is the stupidest thing I ever. Or you have it over your head. I mean, come on. I mean, they got a little midget sitting on top of them. How much damage do you think they're going to do to them? It certainly isn't like sitting behind a horse and having a harness horse driver just reaching up there and cracking the crap out of them. And they still came back every week. They still raced every week, right? No, I don't think anybody complaining, right? I've had a horse race and come back to the paddock with blood dripping down the inside of his right leg. Now, I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about that, but the horse gets tended to. But look at the money that people invest and spend on these horses. Like I said, they wouldn't even be living. And you know something? If this keeps up, right, little by little, you're going to have these multimillionaires and breeders and financial consultants say, well, maybe we're not going to breed 100 horses this year. We'll do 75, and then next year we're going to do 50. And before you know it, the amount of horses that are put back into the industry starts to diminish. Depleted. And there's one thing for sure: if you don't have a horse, you don't have this industry. So that's the most important thing that people have to keep in mind, to make sure that they still have an industry by having horses that race and participate in it. And it's and I don't think that they're looking at the big picture. And I first of all, they shouldn't even be in business. They just got funding at the 12th hour on 2020 with COVID, when they just looking,
Right.
oh yeah, let's stick it to the rich people that race horses. Let's start an agency just to see if we can catch how many guys are cheating and this and that. Okay, like I said, the premise is correct, but the whole thing is bullshit as far as I'm concerned. Not
You know what? They should
Heisa
be
itself.
involved in drug testing. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Heisa
I agree with
itself, but right, Joe. But not the premise is correct, like I said. But I think this particular agency is no good. They're just interested in making money, and the star attraction, which is their chief executive officer, is the one getting the money, and she's very, very suited to do that. And like I said, I can see why they got it, but those people, they don't care about horses. How could they? I mean, they care about horses. Like, if you go to the zoo, you say, oh, you like you like the elephant? Yeah, he's nice, and this and that, and the tiger and everything else. But I'm talking about horses themselves. People have to. You need people on there that love the animal itself. They love the animal, interested in the animal, and get a pleasure out of watching the horse race and everything else. But not somebody that's just looking to make money. And that's what the whole organization, as far as I'm concerned, all they're looking to do is accrue funds, and they got the right person in charge to do it. So that's all I'm going to say.
And it's not humane what they're doing.
No,
Because by us maintaining horses and keeping them sound and healthy in between races is what puts on a show the next week, and they're back on the track and they're sound when they go out there. If you don't take care of a horse, they're not going to be out there sound. Half of them are going to be scratched, and half of them will break down, but they're racing lame.
That's right.
So you got to maintain them. They have a lot of depletions. You have to give them electrolytes. You have to give them like a shot of Winstrol. something like that to help heal them during the week and jug them and, you know, replace everything you took out
Yeah.
and
Well,
keep them sound.
Manny says, he says, how can you say a horse is a horse? Standardbred, quarterbred, horse, thoroughbreds are all different breeds. That's like saying a dog is a dog, pit bull and a Maltese are the same. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they may be different breeds, but a horse has four legs and it looks exactly like a horse, and they
And
use
it's
it for
bred
racing
for a
like a
reason.
horse, right? Right. A pit bull does not look like a Maltese, and certainly they don't use a Maltese to fight. So, I mean, that's a difference of opinion as far as I'm concerned. I'm just saying a racehorse or any kind of a horse is considered, that animal is considered a horse. It may be a different breed of a horse, but the purpose of a thoroughbred and the purpose of a standardbred are to
Just to
race.
race.
That's what I'm saying, right? I mean, there's many breeds of dogs, but they all don't have the same purpose. Some of them just go to a show and walk up and down. Other ones race like greyhounds and everything like that. So I'm not saying that a Maltese should race in a greyhound race. Certainly not. But the racehorse is more of a particular, a closely more bred a type of animal than that example. So, like I said, we'll see. Like I said, people may disagree with me, and it'll come to pass. But they'll
They will,
be hard pressed proving that a thoroughbred is that much different than a standardbred.
they wouldn't exist if it wasn't for racing.
Once again, Manny made an idiotic statement, and Ron is 1,000% right. And I really don't want to get into it, Manny, but you're wrong when you say here. Question, Ron, how could you say a horse is a horse? Standardbred, quarter horse, thoroughbred are all different breeds. They're all different breeds, but they all do the same thing, and they all
Right.
need help. Okay? Because an Indian can play football, and so can an Italian guy, and so can anybody else that's qualified or that's talented. And whether you're a quarter horse, that's why they have quarter horse racing, standardbred racing, and thoroughbred racing. It's true, they're all different breeds, but they all do the same thing. They're bred and born to race, and they all need help. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with what Joe said. Give 5 cc's of Winstrol. It's a water-based steroid that can help a horse recover real
Right.
quick, and it's out of their system in 5-6 days. So,
Right.
man, do me a favor, shut the fuck up. Okay, we're still friends, but you put these
Oh, boy.
crazy things up there that don't make sense. And his analogy is that's like saying a dog is a dog. A pit bull and Maltese are the same. No, they're pets. They're both dogs. You don't even. I don't. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe Manny's right. You know, Manny, you have so many good qualities, but talking to guys that know what they're talking about and you don't is not one of them. You're a good guy. He's a great guy. He is. He's got a great family. His wife is a beautiful, beautiful girl. Great cook. I was there. He did everything right. He has kids. He takes care of his kids. He does everything right, except when he comes on this podcast with these stupid fucking statements that I don't even know what he's talking about. Once again, Manny, a thoroughbred and a standardbred and a quarter horse, they're all different breeds, but they all race and they all need help. So when Ron says a horse is a horse, he's talking about a thoroughbred who's a different breed than the standardbred, but both of them race. And what Ron is saying is that if Heiser thinks they could make different rules for standardbreds, what he's saying is 1,000% correct. That the thoroughbred people will go nuts if they make concessions for a different breed that does the same thing as that's racing. So, Manny,
it's like tomorrow morning you go to Ray Schnicker's barn and bring him 3 Palominos. What is he going to tell you? What am I going to do with these things? You know, They're bred for different things.
Okay. Well, that was a good discussion. That was Ron. Ron was right in everything he says. I never thought of that because I always thought that they'd get into standardbred by making easing up on some of these things because both of you guys are right that standardbred needs a lot of help after every race. There's a big difference between a horse racing on average 8 times a year and on average
35 times a year.
Yeah, so there's a big difference. And Ron is 1,000% right, and that's something I never thought about. And I didn't know it was against the law. And even if it's not, what Ron says is true. The lawyers will bring that case, and the case is a horse, and that's what they do. A racehorse is a thoroughbred and a standardbred. A horse is a horse, and that's what they do. They race.
Manny said one horse is more durable, a standardbred or a thoroughbred. Okay, by all rights, a standardbred is more durable, but that's not the point. The point is that they're both horses that are used for racing. Why would they feel that a standardbred can take more punishment and be subject to use certain drugs that a thoroughbred can't? I mean, who would make that judgment? What veterinarian would come out and say would make a statement like that? Who to distinguish between the two breeds, right? Is that a harness horse is better than long leg? I don't know what that one means. Ron, answer that question. Well, I understand what Manny is trying to say. I don't know if he just is trying to be a little argumentative about it, and
that's how Manny is.
But if he does, that is right. But he knows full well what I'm trying to say. You're gonna compare a Dachshund to a German Shepherd? Come on. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? You're going to compare a poodle to a Rottweiler? I mean, that's a lot more difference than the difference between a standardbred and a thoroughbred. By all means and purposes, they're horses that were born bred to raise. They have the same physical propensities in them that need certain things. But again, that's not really the point. The point is that you cannot discriminate against one industry in an industry in a similar effect as far as I'm trying. Let me put this a little differently. They're in the same industry, so you can't discriminate against one to the other by saying that they're one allowed to do this and the other one isn't allowed to do this. I could be wrong, but I think they would have some serious problems if they tried to do that. And listen, they're gonna any judge in the world is gonna say that they're very similar. One just races as a thoroughbred, and the other one races as a standardbred. But like I said, I don't know. I could be wrong, but that non-discrimination law. I was talking to Joe about it. It's a hard one to get by. And
their injuries and their maintenance are similar, and they both need to be healed up basically the same ways. So,
yeah, that's right.
They both have the same injuries, basically. I mean, not 100%, but they do have similar injuries, and you have to treat them accordingly, whatever's best.
Yeah.
Manny says, Larry, you just hear what you want to hear. No, Manny, that's not true. I hear everything that goes on, and I don't read all of the comments. I try to pick out the ones that just have questions. But I don't hear just what I want to hear. But I have two things that I do. I will come right at you if you are nasty or say something bad against another person that's on here. That's for sure, and you know that. And the other thing is, if a friend, and you're a friend, Manny, or somebody that makes a comment that's not right, I I have a right to, because if I don't do it, in my mind, if I don't correct, especially a friend, if I don't correct a friend for making idiotic statements, if I don't do that, in my mind, I think this guy thinks I'm a jerk off. This and other people that are listening that know that what you're saying is wrong, and I don't say nothing. They think Larry don't even know what the hell he's talking. He lets this guy get away with nothing. So when people say things like you say all the time pertaining to horses, I can't remember when you said something about horses when you were right, including these comments you just made now. So that I don't hear. I hear everything, but I make comments because I feel if I don't, because look, if me and you were talking across the table, and you were telling me, and you were telling me total fucking bullshit, and I don't say something, you have to think in your head, and I got it over this guy. This guy don't even know what the fuck he's talking about. I could tell him anything. That's not the case. When you come to me and tell me something about a business that I've been in my whole life, and it's not true, I have just for my own head, I got to tell you you're full of shit. I'll say it in a nice way. I won't say you're full of shit. I'll say you have to. I have to disagree with you, and this is why, and I'll explain it to you. And once I say that, trust me, you can't win. You can't win, and you'll never win. Once I say what I said, that I disagree. I disagree. Now, if you could be right, and at two sides every coin, I would say, you have a point there, but on the other side of that coin is this and this and this. But I can't have a conversation with anybody or be involved in a conversation and let somebody talk nonsense without me saying something. So, Manny, I don't hear what I want to hear. I hear everything. But it just seems that you're the only one that talks, makes stupid statements. So it seems like I'm always picking on you. But that's not the case. Because if you were on here, and I said this before, talking about building a house and everything else, and anybody ever says, yeah, I work for a construction guy and Manny's full of shit, that could never happen. It could never he could never get away with that. I would protect you right to the end, just like I'm doing now. I'm stopping you from embarrassing yourself. But every fucking week you come on and do the same thing. You embarrass yourself. Anyway.
Larry, Manny says, what I'm saying is you can discriminate because it's two different organizations. No, you can't. You cannot discriminate in any way, shape, or form with anything that's similar in the workplace. I do understand what he's trying to say, but the thing is this: that HISA is not set up to discriminate against organizations. They're set up for the health and safety of the racehorses. And what they're doing is contradicting themselves by saying that it's okay to administer a certain drug or injection to the standardbreds, and it's not for the thoroughbreds. That's a complete contradiction of what they're doing. And that is a discrimination when it comes down to what they allow a thoroughbred trainer to do and a standardbred trainer to do. And like I said, I might be wrong, but I think that any thoroughbred trainer is going to have a problem with this the minute they make a deal with the standardbreds.
You're 100% right, Ron.
Yeah, and do you know how many standardbred trainers that you would probably put out of business on the first day if they weren't allowed to treat their horses and care for the horses the way they know how to? I mean, Joe, when you were in the business, let's just say on Monday you woke up and you found out that HISA was in this business and they had the rules and regulations that they have for the thoroughbreds. Well, how would that affect you?
I'd be out of business.
You'd be out of business in one day, right? And out of business in one day. But what I'm just saying is, if I woke up and I was a thoroughbred trainer and on Monday I found out they made a deal with the standardbreds and they're allowing them to post race, they're allowing them to inject their knees and hocks and race that day. They don't have to be suspended. I mean, let me just give Manny this one more example. What is the difference? What is so wrong about injecting a thoroughbred's knees or hocks and not letting them race for 30 days, but it's okay to do that to a standardbred and letting them race in 5 days? How could you explain that? How could they possibly explain their way out of that? They can't. But because those two horses are so similar in their makeup and their chemistry and everything else, that there's not much of a distinction. Certainly not as much of a distinction that are in other breed. Like I said, you can't compare a Dachshund to a Rottweiler in any way, shape, or form. Right? I've never seen Rottweiler dog fights in my life. I've seen pit bull. As disgusting as it is, I have seen that. So there is a distinction between breeds, but the rules and regulations in football, like Manny mentioned, are set up for those organizations, and those two organizations agreed to it. They agreed to all that. I don't know any thoroughbred trainer that agreed to letting Heise into their life. They certainly didn't do that. And like I said, there'll be a big problem with that, and I don't think that a lot of people have taken that into consideration. But there is. If you read the non-discriminatory laws that Bill Clinton set up, he covered every base there is in the workplace in every way. You can't do anything that's similar. You can't discriminate between one and the other. And a thoroughbred racehorse and a standardbred racehorse are very, very similar. Their main purpose for living is to race. So that's
right.
all.
I couldn't do my job as a trainer properly without doing what I have to do to maintain a horse. It's
Right.
like two guys got pizzerias. One guy got a pizzeria across the street. He could use mozzarella on his pizza, and the guy on the other side can't use mozzarella. They're selling the same product basically, but one guy is being discriminated against.
That's right.
Have to be even.
Let me ask this question, because Manny has a point, but so do you. So I just want to clear it up. Manny says NFL and their rules, and CFL has their own rules in the same sport, but so does the American League in baseball and the National League in baseball. They both play the same game, but different set of rules. But what you said, I think, makes all the sense. If they ever went to court, they would lose, because what you said is that both the NFL and CFL agreed to the different set of rules. But if they didn't agree, they would probably go to court and probably, and I don't know if that would apply. You know, I don't know if
Larry, they have different rules.
Two different governments. They have different rules.
Right. They have different rules in the AFL and NFL and the American League and the National League. These are all organizations that was set up by the owners, and they all agreed on these rules, right? They all agreed to live by these rules, right?
So what you're saying is that if Heise comes into the harness racing and the thoroughbreds agree with the different sets of rules, there's no problem.
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
So what you're saying, based on what you're saying, and I agree that there's no problem in the NFL or the American League and National League, because both sides accepted the rule changes, that they're different rules. They accept that. So if Heise comes into the standardbreds and the standardbreds want rules changed and the thoroughbreds say that's okay with us, then they'll never have to worry about winning or losing in court, because both sides agree.
Right. That's right.
But they would never do that. Nobody in their right mind would ever agree to that.
But the thoroughbred industry isn't going to agree to rules and regulations more stringent for them than they put on the standardbreds, because they're discriminated against them in that way. They don't have a leg to stand on. They're not going to be able to prove all these things, how a horse can stand up and not stand up and everything else accordingly. It's irrelevant. The thing is that the NFL and the AFL all agree on these things. The thoroughbred trainers never agreed to let Heise into their life, right? And the thoroughbreds and standardbred trainers, unless they have a brain freeze, they certainly aren't gonna do it either because it matters. But the two horses, the two breeds, right? One's a thoroughbred and one's a standardbred, but they're both horses. They're similar in one aspect. They're all born and bred to race.
Only to race.
That's all they're doing. But like I said, who knows? But I don't think the standardbreds would agree to that. But I don't even think they get a chance to agree with that. Heist is a dictatorship. They just do whatever they want to do. They're not gonna ask them, and they'd have to be nuts to agree to it.
Standardbreds will be out of business, and I mean, 99% of the tracks will be closed. No trainer could do that.
Yeah.
You can't do your job right as a trainer without taking care of the horses.
Manny says that's a fight for the trainers, and the owners should take up in the thoroughbred industry. What fight? They can't take up anything. They can't look at poor Eddie. He gets a horse scratched for no reason and everything else. Who are they going to? You have to have a person that you can take the fight to. They don't want to hear it. If I'm not correct, Eddie once said that when he asked the female veterinarian about why she did, she says, because I can.
Yeah,
because I have the power to. I have the power to do it. There's no fight there. I don't understand that.
Well, all right. Can we end it now? Anybody? That was very good. The last half hour was very, very enjoyable for me. And Ron naturally come up with a good synopsis. Very, very good. Very good. And I learned a lot. I didn't even think of that. I just thought that they could make harness racing would make them make a change. But what Ron says is true, and I never thought about it. The standardbred people go nuts.
Very, very, very good observation.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, everybody doesn't have to agree with me. Eddie DeLauro just wrote, "Heist is all about money." That's how I prefaced my conversation. The whole organization was set up to generate money, and they put someone in charge that knows how to do that. A very smart, intelligent, A-personality person. And they're getting the job done. They're getting as much money as they possibly can screw the thoroughbred industry out of with fines and charging the race and part of the purse. It's crazy. So anyway,
and to take money out of a purse account,
yeah,
what right
that?
do they have to do that?
Yeah. That's why I said it's crazy, and the standardbreds, because they have to race every week because of the purse structure, and can you imagine horses racing in Monticello for $4,000, and they're going to take 5% out of that purse? Come on, that could never happen. It never happened. What the good Lord said, "Lead us not into temptation." But boy, I tell you, if they ever did that, they'd have every race at Monticello fixed from 1 to 12, because they would have to survive.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't even need Larry to do it.
Right.
Because necessity is the mother of invention. And that's what happened. I mean, that's crazy. You know, that's crazy. You know, these big thoroughbred trainers, Cox guy, whatever his name is, Brad Cox, and Todd Pletcher and all them, they got 300-400 horses, right? They got multi-million-dollar horses, right? They all they got to do is come up with 3 good ones a year, 4 good ones a year, and then the rest of them. You ever see what some of these horses make? These thoroughbreds, ones you never even heard of, make $300,000-400,000 a year, right? Never won a race. Sean McLaughlin had a horse called Frosted. He was always second best, third best, fourth best. He raced till he was 5 or 6. The horse made $5 million, right? Yeah. But a lot of these, when you look in the post on when they have that whole lineup for Kentucky Derby, and they have the little colors of the jockeys, everything. This horse is there. Raced 3 times, or second, third, won 400,000. That's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how they survive, and they got 300-400 of these things. I know there's a lot of them that go by the wayside that they don't do it, but this is what those thoroughbreds trainers thrive on. That getting that, and they have the multimillionaires that do it. And I might be going out on a limb here, but you can't tell me that they don't get some kind of special preference, some way, somehow, whether
Of
it's through
course.
the veterinarian or through or something else.
Through the commission.
Yeah, through whatever it is, there's no way that they seem like they breeze through everything. I never hear them ever talking shit about Heise at all. But you hear guys like Eddie, right, who get affected by it. They do it, but I don't think the other ones are that affected. I think that, that brown bag theory that Larry has. I think there's more to that than a lot of people want to admit.
Oh yeah.
Right, Larry?
Oh yeah, well, it's not that they don't want to admit it. They admit it, but they don't do nothing about. They don't talk about it because, in their mind, there's no way to control the core temperature of the horse that's racing. So they just what they do is they make their own rules up, and they do have rules. The rules are that if it's a certain temperature and a certain humidity, they have to cancel the races, but they don't ever cancel the races. Another rule that they have is that every racetrack has to have cool barns with fans and air-conditioned places. They don't have that. Another rule is that if the temperature and humidity get to be too high, they have to call the races off or delay post time. So they never do that. They can't do that because of simulcasting, because of everything. So all the rules that they have in place, it's nice that they wrote them. It makes sense, but they don't ever do them. Can you picture that the let's say the Kentucky Derby, it goes off at 4:00 in the afternoon and it's 90 degrees with a 65 humidity. That's very, very based on their rules, they have to delay the race or cancel the race, and they never do. Can you picture that? And they never do. So the rules they have in place make sense, but they don't follow them. I think I looked it up. I think I was able to find one racetrack delayed one race one time in all the races that get done in the whole United States. So it's nonsense. They can't do it. There's too much money. Can you imagine that they pay so much money to get on a channel, or they have simulcasting and everything else, and they say, okay, we have $10 million bet on the Kentucky Derby. It's going to go off in 25 minutes. So far, there's over $10 million bet on it. But I think we're going to have to cancel the race because the humidity went up to 90%. That can never happen.
No.
So
the only way they could delay is because of lightning or weather of some severity.
So anyway, Manny wants to know, Ron, who led Heise in the thoroughbred industry? They didn't just walk in the door. You see, Manny, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. Now, we talked about this 3-4 different times, not on Tuesday, but on Thursdays. And I purposely asked that question, and they were approved. And one of the people that approved it was the biggest organization in thoroughbred racing, was the Jockey Club. They approved it. So that's who approved it. Plus 4 or 5 other horsemen associations. But then again, there was 1 or 2 that didn't approve it, and they're in court right now fighting this because they say it's unconstitutional. But to answer your question, Manny, they were approved by the Horsemen's Committee and the Jockey Club. But there were also a couple that didn't approve it, but they were overruled by the Jockey Club, and they're all in court now, trying to. So that's it. Okay, let's see. Manny says, you guys really don't listen to yourselves. Eddie's horse got scratched by Heise officially. Obviously, something is wrong with the horse. Eddie just said tonight about the sesamoid and that it's because I don't.
That's not the horse I was talking about. That's another horse. Eddie had told us about a story where they just came in and lifted the horse's leg up, put it down. The horse walked off, and they scratched him. That's it. It's over with. The horse that he was talking about tonight, that Manny is talking about, is a 2-year-old. That's not the horse I was talking about. It was the one that Eddie had mentioned 3-4 weeks ago. Not this horse. This is the
It
first
was a
time I
leg
heard about it.
scratch.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know this horse. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's a 2-year-old. I think this might be the horse that he just got in, because when I was there, he was expecting the horse to be a 2-year-old to be shipped in that he bought at the sale. Maybe that's what he's talking about. I don't know. So I don't know, Manny. I don't know. I don't know. But Manny I got to give Manny credit, boy. He tries to make himself right. He's like, Sundance takes over all the comments in the first half of the show, and Manny takes over after that. And everyone is to try to make himself right. And this is the closest he come, because no, he's not even close.
He had a good question when he asked how Heise came in. Heise came in because the Democrats led them in. They had COVID relief money left over, and the 12th hour was coming, and they had to get rid of the rest of the money, or 12:01, they couldn't spend it anymore. So they decided, this is a good thing to come up with. Let's come up with this horse safety thing, which they knew nothing about, right? And that's the way they used that money, because they are not happy with anybody having any fun or liking anything. So they, in my opinion, they just want to stick it to all the rich guys that have thoroughbreds and horses. Now, that's encapsulating it, and of course there's a lot more to it. But in my opinion, that's how it happened. That's how they started.
And they tried to get it Heise passed in 2018, and it didn't pass. And then when COVID happened, they just attached the Heise bill to the COVID bill, and that's how it passed. But
Right.
they did it for a reason, because the thoroughbred, the drugs and everything was getting out of control. They realized that they let it go too far. They realized that they couldn't fix it. They realized a lot of things that they could never get a handle on it. So they formed this organization to try to stop the drugs and undisclosed ownership and all of that stuff. And what they did was they hired a bunch of people, close to 100 people that never been in the racehorse business. And that's the only mistake that they made, hiring people that just don't know what they're doing. And I shouldn't even be talking like this, because Freddie's going to get mad at me. But that's the fact. There's almost 190 people, I think, make up all the Heise between the two groups. And I don't think any one of them had any experience at all, including the Federal Trade Commission, who okays the rules that Heise presents to them. And neither one of them 5 people in the Federal Trade Commission ever been to a racetrack. So, that's the problem. And if they put guys like Freddie in charge, they have no problem. They half of them rules that they come up with, they wouldn't be rules, and everybody would get along. And I'm sure that Freddie has enough knowledge that he could sit down with these people and say, look, I've been through this. This is what you need. This and this and this and this. And then even Freddie would have the ability to go into what Ron just says. And if we want to get into the standardbreds, we have to ease up a bit. But on the other side of that coin, they had no choice but to slam the door and stop everything from happening, because they could never, ever, ever stop the drugs. Because all you have to do is change one little molecule, or whatever they call it, in one drug, and there's no test for it. So the only thing they could do is slam the door on everything. I understand that, because there's no, everything has gone too far. They can synthesize. They can do anything. The bad guys and the veterinarians and scientists around the world can come up with drugs.
They'll find a way.
Huh?
They'll always find a way to be a
Yeah,
sub
they'll
breeder.
always find a way. So the only reason, the only way that HISA has to show any kind of results is to slam the door and stop everything. But like Ron says, that could never work with the standardbreds. And if you try to make it work, the thoroughbreds would fight. So who knows? It's just it's just a tough problem. What else is
Manny said, so the owners and trainers should take their argument with the jockey club and whoever approved it. Stop blaming HISA, blame the jockey club and whoever else approved it. Well, how do you go about doing that exactly? They're already in existence, right? They're already in existence. The jockey club's got nothing to say about it anymore, right? They let them in the door. Now they're here, and there's no way you can get rid of them. They're a total dictatorship organization, and it doesn't matter if you blame them or don't blame them. They're here now, and you have to deal with them. So I don't know who you would go up against, who in the jockey club that you would speak to. I mean,
in a lot of that stuff at that level, it's all politics. I remember when I was appealing all my cases, I was fighting in 3 or 4 different states to try to get my license back. And for the appeals, I was told that you better hire the best law firm that you can find, because when you put in an appeal, 90% of them get rejected, and the judges never look at the appeals. The clerks look at the appeals. And if the appeal comes in from a high-powered law firm, they'll accept the appeal. Now, so that's what I did. So instead of paying $500 an hour, I was paying $1,500 an hour for a very powerful law firm in New York. And what happened? I wind up losing. You know why I wound up losing? Because the lawyers that I had were playing golf with the people from the racing commission, and the higher up you go, the more trouble you get. I was better off hiring a lawyer that just got out of law school, that has no connection and no favors to repay, because it's all political when you get to a certain level. And I don't know if the HISAs are in that category, but I don't think in my opinion, if the jockey club approved HISA, there had to be some political nonsense and talking back and forth. That's what I believe. And I could
There's
be
a lot of brown bags for sure.
But
yeah.
all I know is that I have something that could really help the horses, and I hope HISA. Well, Freddie's supposed to hook me up with some people, and if not, I will try to get to Lisa, because it's a major problem. And I'm glad to hear that HISA 2 years in 2022 they start investigating this, and I have their reports. So it's good that they're doing all of this stuff. But you see, if they would hire me and Freddie, I would have told them. I says, look, I can tell you all about Lasix, like I'm going to tell in my report and my little short video I'm going to make. I could tell you about that and save you close to $800,000, and I could tell you instead of getting this special gizmo that you put on, I'm not interested in the horse's heart rate or anything like that with that machine, unless you could also tell me about the horse's temperature. Now they're starting to find out that horse's temperature is causing AFib. They never even talked about that. For a horse that had AFib, the vet would tell you, oh, that's all right. We'll just give him a shot and it'll come back into rhythm. Don't worry about it, without it fixing the problem. Horses, first of all, horses don't get heart attacks like humans get heart attacks. They don't have clogged arteries and all of that stuff. The problem is the amount of heat that goes through the body because of racing, and that's it. And they checked everything in all their studies except for that. And the reason that they didn't check for that is because they already know about the problem, but they can't fix it. And I didn't fix it with my thing. I just delayed it. I delayed it from happening. But if a horse races 5 miles, it's going to happen. But there's no 5-mile races. So anyway,
Larry,
yeah.
Manny said HISA is responsible for developing anti-doping and medication rules to ensure fairness and to protect equine health. I agree with that 100%. I'm not saying that I have anything against that. I agree with it. He said that administration of the rules, including collecting and testing blood, urine, etc., is delegated to the Horse Racing Integrity Welfare Subsidy of drug-free sport. I agree with that. There should be a drug-free sport. I never said anything that I don't agree with letting people drug horses. They shouldn't allow that in any way, shape, or form. I don't mean that. What I mean is that the extent to which they administer other rules and regulations are not fair, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Let them stay in their lane as far as the doping is concerned and all that stuff, and everything would be better off. But I don't mean to say that I don't think that the industry is.
All right, let me answer another one of Manny's questions that he got from Googling it. So he obviously got this. He Googled who he's probably Googling like crazy. See, Manny has a problem. And the only problem he has that I have with Manny is he always tries to make himself right instead of just keeping his mouth shut and listening and trying to learn. Now, first of all, because before HISA even came into the picture, there was everything that HISA has, they had before. They tested for drugs. The Elijah test came in. They start sending tests all over the world, trying to fit. They're never going to stop it. They're never going to stop it. So now what HISA is doing, they have a team of people just going around to different laboratories all over the world, trying to find out what this is, freezing samples and everything else. And they're never gonna find it. They're just never gonna find it. So everything that Manny says that HISA did was there before. They just they're never gonna win. They're never gonna win that battle. And they're fighting it. They have lawyers all over the place, and they have people dealing with who knows how many drug testing companies they have now. I don't know, but I know it's a lot, and they're spending an awful lot of money. And I spoke for 2 hours. I said this before with a veterinarian down at Belmont Park, and it was quite a conversation. And I learned a lot, but I can't blame the government for trying to stop the total abuse of horses. I can't blame them to try to stop that. What I do blame them for is putting the wrong people in the wrong position, like the harness racing industry and the thoroughbred industry has been doing since they were all political appointees that are put into positions of total and complete incompetence. That's what I blame them for. And the only way you could even try to have a little success is to stop everything cold. Because if you have a store and that store, you're going broke because of all the people coming in and taking food and robbing your store. The only real way to stop that is to close the door. Don't let nobody in. If you don't let nobody in, you won't.
All right, I'll be in a minute. I'm on the podcast.
You're still on?
Yeah.
So that's what HISA did, and that's
right on the bed.
Larry, I don't blame them for the inception of it. I blame them for how it was done. There was no democratic process for having HISA. They just put it in there without any kind of, just pushed it through without any kind of congressional vote that they're supposed to take. Just like they put Kamala Harris in there without having a democratic convention or process. They just put her in there as a candidate, and that was it. That's how they put HISA in there. So I'm not mad that they did it. I'm just mad at how they went about doing it.
Okay, one more thing here. I got to answer this one too. Manny, no, I am not trying to make myself right. I am so tired of everyone here knock HISA. That's all I hear. Give them a chance. Manny, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. You know what it's like? It's like me walking in and building the house next to you when I don't know how to build a house. So it's you give them a chance. How do you give them a chance? How would you like it if you needed a heart transplant and they went and they got a guy off the construction site and says, "Here, go put this heart in that guy." They don't know what they're doing. And people that know that they don't know what they're doing, unlike you, say that we're knocking Heisa. Heisa don't know what the fuck they're doing, period. And I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm starting to get mad now, and I'm going to ruin my own fucking chances. But I'm getting to the point where I got to tell it the way it is. And Manny, you are trying to make yourself right with these stupid fucking statements.
Larry, calm down, Larry, calm
And I
down.
got news for you. You'd be the first one to complain if Heisa came into the harness racing and they went into Snickers barn and start telling them you can't do this, you can't do that. You'd be the first one on here and saying, "What the fuck is this company?" So do me a favor, just listen and shut the fuck up. Okay,
Larry, you know what he's saying, and he said all I hear is, you know, about knocking Heisa. Give them a chance. Okay, so rules need adjustment, and that's what the owners and trainers should work on. I think should focus on. The owners and trainers have nothing to say about it. They can focus on it all they want, but they're not going to change anything. They're a dictatorship. And also, the doping rules, I agree with. Do you think that guy that just got suspended for 6 months, do you think that's right? They just took a guy's livelihood away for 6 months? Do you know what kind of shape he's going to be in 6 months? A little midget that can't do anything else but ride a horse after 6 months of unemployment? Who knows how his life is going to turn? Because he whipped a horse with a whip that has a foam rubber tip. That's some of the rules I'm talking about. But the owners and trainers can't work on it. They have no say to it. They have no say to it at all. They are a dictatorship, right? And this is what they got to live with, unless they get every single trainer, which will never happen because trainers don't stick together for anything, right? They're going to get more powerful until someone flat out sues them and the Supreme Court deems them unconstitutional.
All right. Now let me answer this one. It says, "Ron, you understand where I'm coming from, and Larry and Joe think I'm an asshole. I don't think you're an asshole, but every statement you make is wrong. How would you like it if, all right, the government formed Heisa to fix a sport that is riddled with a lot of bad things, and a lot of horses are dying and breaking down due to drugs and doing everything else. How would you like it if you just bought a horse for $300,000 and Ray Snick to come to you and says, "Listen, my friend owns a construction company, and but his son wants to get into the horse business. He never been around horses, so but I have no work for him, but I have to give him a job, so I'm going to let him take care of your horse." How'd you feel? That's exactly what Heisa is doing in the business. Somebody, 100 people that don't know what the fuck they're doing is in a business trying to straighten it out, that they don't know what they're doing. The same thing is if a guy that worked in a delicatessen, never seen a horse, and your trainer put him in charge of your horse. Is that, well, he'll learn. And that's what Heisa is doing. They're learning on the job. And while they're doing that, they're hurting a lot of people. That's all I'm saying. So, and I don't think that you're an asshole. I just think stop trying to win a fucking argument. Just stop, because everything you're saying is not right. And I don't think you're an asshole. I just think that you have a head like a fucking rock, and you just don't want to give in. You got to win on one point. Well, say something that's right. Say something that's right. And I almost agreed with you a couple of things back when you were half right. But Jesus Christ, Manny, I don't think you're an asshole. But just stop. Just stop defending things that you don't know nothing about, and you don't know nothing about what you're talking about. And just talking about, so what I'm going to do someday, I'm going to spend money and put an ad in the paper. I want all construction workers to come on the podcast, and have you on with me, sitting by my side, and we'll talk about these things. And I want to see how you handle a guy that says he's a construction worker or I own a company, and then he starts saying stupid things. Yeah, I don't use these cement blocks. I use cinder blocks. And you're gonna get this fucking guy don't know what he's talking about. That's what's going on here. You're talking with guys that know what the fuck they're talking about. You've been in the business for 5 fucking years. You don't know what you're talking about. So, and you're my friend. I'm trying. You know what it's like? It's like a guy that wants to sing but can't sing. Sings off key and everything else. It's my job as your friend to say, shut the fuck up. Don't sing. You're making a jerk out of yourself. That's what I'm saying. So
Larry, can I tell you something? If it's very hard to express your feelings and your thoughts through texting. If the 4 of us sat down, you, Joe, me, and Manny sat down, the glass of wine in our hand, I'm sure we could come to an amicable agreement by each one explaining their feelings and their thoughts about it, right? But to put this texting on this and that, it's hard. I mean, it's part of the show and it's okay. But I know that if I spent 30 minutes with Manny, he would feel completely different about HISA. Not as far as them with the drug testing, which I think they should do, but with the other aspects of what they're trying to do and how they're trying to be a dictatorship in the sport for the only reason of making money. And I could prove that to them in at least 3 different instances. And this is exactly what it's set up for. There's not one person on that board that gives a flying shit about horses. I can guarantee you that. What they care about is that $80 million, soon to be $100 million salary that they're all getting, and it's all crazy. I told you before, if you look at their balance sheets, they spent $12,000 a year for offices. That means $1,000 a month for an office. What kind of a shit ass office can you get for $1,000 a month for all these employees?
Excuse me, I'll be right back.
It's all bullshit. The good part is that they have stopped doping and a lot of the mortalities have eased up. But I'm talking about all the other picayune, petty rules and everything else. All these rules that they give out, these suspensions and everything, there's all fines connected to this. There's all fines. That's how they make money. And the bigger the suspension, the bigger the fine. But like I said, we can all agree to disagree in a way. But that's what makes your show interesting, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. But it would take a lot for you to convince me of changing my mind about why they're in business. Yes, the horse industry integrity is secondary, but the first is to make money. It's a money-making industry. That's what they had Lisa Lazarus doing in the NFL. Public relations that drew in money. So that's all I'm saying. Maybe I'm a little skeptic about certain things, but I agree with Larry in the aspect that there's people can do anything. People will do anything for some kind of enumeration. Simple as that.
Manny says Larry Cox, Canada don't have these problems because Canada don't play games there. They get caught with drugs in Canada and tell me how it works out for you. You happen to be right about Canada don't play games. You happen to be right there. But HISA don't play games neither. But let me tell you something. 60 years ago, the first drug that everybody was using was vitamin B15.
B15
from Canada. And I'm not going to say too much about Canada, but trust me, everybody in racing and everybody in business, including you, Manny, in your business, is looking for an edge. Everybody. And Canada is no different than horse racing in the United States. Everybody's looking for it. Now, some people get caught and some people don't get caught. But that's another statement that is not true. And I won't go any further because there's a lot of good friends that I know that are racing up there and that have raced up there. and I know, and you don't know. So that statement, the only part of that statement that's true is that you get caught, you're in a lot of trouble. But you're in a lot of trouble here. There's trainers right here that are in jail for 2, 3, 4, 5 years for that. So the United States don't play games no more, and neither does Canada. But
Larry, they had a trainer from Canada years ago. I'm sure you all know. His name was Bill Robinson.
I remember.
He went around brazenly telling everybody that he could step up any horse 2 seconds. He said he can step up any horse 2 seconds without a question of a doubt. He brought a lot of attention to himself by making that statement until they finally found out what he was using. He was using a drug called clenbuterol. That's a nasal dilator, right? He gave it right.
Cleans their lungs out.
That's right.
It's a very good drug, actually.
Opens up those nasal passages, and he was stepping up all those horses 2 seconds until he finally got caught. And I think they banned him once for 5 years, and the next for life. He's no longer living. That's why I mentioned his name. But that's what he did.
His American counterpart was Monty Gelrod.
Mm-hmm.
He was here in the States, and he had a bunch of years where he was very, very successful. And if you try to get into his barn, they had chains up, and you could never get into his barn, but there was always a veterinarian there.
Yeah.
And so there's look. The bottom line is this: everybody's looking for it. The sad part is a lot of these guys. You know what it's like? It's like, and I know 4 or 5 guys like I'm going to describe now. They were in the drug business, and they made millions and millions and millions of dollars. And there were 3 or 4 of them that just after 10, 20 million, they just stopped. There were another 2 or 3 that didn't stop. They just greedy, and they all got caught, and they spent the rest of their lives in jail. And it's the same thing. The trainers that took advantage of certain situations. Certain trainers knew what they were tested for. Certain trainers had their own black box. So, the ones that stopped at a certain point are still around. The ones that didn't are in jail. Some of them are in the Hall of Fame. But everybody is looking for an edge. I remember the day when right at Monmouth Park, a guy comes in and he's selling, and he has a whole basket full of 100cc syringes. And Alan bought a couple, $100 each. And what it was vodka. And he says, this is definitely, they didn't tell. We found out it was vodka because Alan bought them and we sent him to have it tested. We didn't give it to any horse. So he bought a bottle of vodka, filled up a bunch of 100cc syringes, sold them for $100 a piece, and made a lot of money. That's how desperate some of these guys are. You go to him and say, this definitely won't test. You'll get away with it. It'll stop your horse from bleeding. It'll do this. And you sell it. That's why there's a lot more guys that are out there besides Dr. Grasso and that other guy that's in jail. There are a whole lot more veterinarians out there and guys selling drugs that and I witnessed it firsthand when I went to Parks Racetrack just 6 months ago. I witnessed. I happened to get lucky. I had a good friend that was a good friend of one of the top trainers over there. Guy had like 60, 70 horses. And we used to sit there and talk all afternoon because I'd go out there every day to the farm, and he would tell me everything. And it was then I realized that I made a mistake by going there. And but everybody, even up to date, they're all looking right now. These guys in the thoroughbred business that have people all over the world, the big guys, looking for something that's not going to show up here by changing a molecule. And that's just the way it is. So if the ones you get caught, and not only that, but how would you like to be how would you like to have a veterinarian clinic where you are a veterinarian and you have your own, you're the boss, and then you look for partners. So you have 3 or 4 other partners, and you have a stable of 300 horses, and that's what you want to do good, and that's what the trainer keeps you because you're winning a lot of races. That veterinarian has contacts all over the world looking for drugs or synthesized drug, whatever they could find that they don't know, have a test for, or that they know, or what they can get away with, or what to give, or whatever it is. Now, if you don't do that, and the trainer comes to you like one trainer did to J.DeLauro, and say, look, everybody's doing this, I want to do this. And he says, well, they're starting to freeze samples now, and this and that. I don't care, but I'm going to lose these owners if I don't start winning races. Everybody's doing it, so I want to do it. And Joe really didn't want to do it. And he took me out to lunch. We went to lunch, and I says, Joe, what do you have? The guy got 38 horses. 38 horses. Every vet bill for him is $3,000-$4,000 every month. 3,000-4,000 times 30, 40 horses. That's a lot of fucking money, and that's only one client. I says, if you don't do what he says, you're gonna look. You might as well open up a small dog and cat hospital. I says, you might be better off. And then the guy, poor guy, J.DeLauro, who was 100% had to do it. It killed him to do it.
Yeah.
It killed him to do it, but he had to do it or just go out of business. And that's what's going on. And now, when these veterinarians that have a stable of 300 horses, right away they're looking for partners, or they hire another vet and say, okay, I'm going to give you $2,500 a week. I want you to open up an office down there because my client has 30 horses there. So now whatever racetrack this guy has horses at, 40 here, 40 there, 40 there, he has his own company. He sends the vets there. So now he controls 300 horses with his veterinarian, and whatever he finds out, he tells his other vets, and that's how they all get treated. And they're all and that's what's going on. That's why they're never going to beat it. They're never. And the ones that are smart have veterinarians that, and that's why Heiser is looking to get rid of all the veterinarians. I think there's one veterinarian, and there used to be probably 7 or 8 at Belmont Park. I think there's one left. Heiser's getting rid of all of them one at a time, putting their own vets in. Now, whether that's good or bad, whether it's going to help or not, I don't know. All I know is that what's going on, and I was right in the middle of it because I spent all afternoon and every night with J.DeLauro or from way back, Dr. Carter. I can name all the vets at all the racetracks.
Remember Dr. Johnson?
I remember all of them.
Yeah.
So that I even Dr. Steele before
Dr. Steele, yeah.
Nolan, graduated when
Right. Nolan.
Yeah.
Mitchell.
In fact, I used to drive Dr. Nolan's wife. She always had trotters. She used to put me down to drive all his trotters, Dr. Nolan. That were the only times I try to win.
Larry,
yeah.
Manny says, Ron, you think it's fair that through the 20 years I've had horses, not 5 years, I spent thousands of dollars and I have to be in races with known cheaters? That's not fair to me. No, it's absolutely not fair to him. But I'd be very interested to hear what Ray Schnickler would say if he asked him that question. I would like Manny to ask Ray Schnickler this week the same thing. Ray, do you think it's fair that I have to be in races with known cheaters? I wonder what Ray would say to him.
Well, Ray's wife is a veterinarian.
Well, and also, Manny says he wants to get out of the business. So if he feels that it's not fair and he's not playing on a level playing field, then maybe he should get into the thoroughbred business. Get into the thoroughbred business, get Eddie some horses. He could use it, help him out, and then see how he likes Heiser after 6 months or a year. Because he feels that the organization is doing the right thing. They are, in fact, trying to get rid of the people that dope horses. But I wonder how he would feel that if his horse was shipped all the way up to Finger Lakes like Eddie did, and when the horse got off the truck, he found out his horse was scratched and didn't know for a week or two why. I wonder how he would feel about HISA then. I know I would have a problem with that, right? So I know there's no perfect world, but I mean, if the standardbred business isn't for him, if he doesn't want to be in it anymore and it's totally his choice and he feels it's totally unfair, go to the thoroughbreds and see how he weathers there. See how he feels that the HISA organization and their rules and implementing all the regulations that they have is fair. So that's all I can say. But I would like him to ask Ray Snickler that story, that question, because I would just love to hear what he would have to say. I actually could probably tell you word for word, but I'm not going to. And I think Joe does too. But that's not here nor there.
Well, Manny's in a kind of difficult spot right now, I think, because he got rid of some of the dead wood that he has. He happens to have he has 2 or 3 really nice horses, really nice. But the problem is that they turn him 4 next year, and all the stake races that he was eligible for this year are gone. And it's a lot different when you're racing a 3-year-old in stake races, and it's a lot different when you become 4 and race an open company. It's a whole lot different. I hope he has the same success. One thing Manny has on his side is that he has a trainer that's pretty sharp. Ray Snick is pretty sharp guy. And he has a lot of horses, and if he has something that's not going to work out or something, I'm sure that he would tell Manny to get rid of him. So that's what Manny got on his side. He has some nice 3-year-olds. They win a lot of money. That each one of his 3-year-olds, I think, has $300,000-400,000 earned. But next year all the stakes are over. They're going into open company, and the good part about that is that he has a trainer that's going to tell him, let's get rid of them. Only Snickton knows how good they are. So if Ray Snickton says, look,
does Manny own those horses outright, or is he partners?
I never asked him. I think he's partners with some Jewish fellas, some friends of his that I met, very, very wealthy Jewish guys, happen to be real nice guys. I told Manny, these Jewish guys that he's involved with, I was over their house. I was there. Really nice, very, very wealthy, very, very smart, very, very sharp. And they're partners with Manny in a lot of the buildings. They get Manny a lot of work, and he's very good, and they love Manny because Manny, outside of this chat thing, Manny's a good guy. Manny wouldn't say half this shit that he's saying here if we had coffee at the table. He'd be asking questions. He's like a sponge. He'd ask questions and ask questions. All of this bullshit he's doing now is bullshit. But what I told Manny was that the horse business is bullshit. It became a business, but you better treat it as a hobby. And if you can't afford it, you get out. And I told him, I says, whatever you do, if you keep these horses as 4-year-olds, buy your partners out. Them Jewish guys that you're partners with can make you a very, very, very wealthy guy. Don't burn them with bullshit racehorses, because 99% of owners lose money. Just buy them out. You love the business. You take the shot, but don't hurt these Jewish guys that outside the only reason they went into business with you because they're doing so much business on the outside. But you happen to get lucky. You happen to have a real good year, made a lot of money. I told him buy them out. Don't let them go into their 4-year-old year. And he agreed with me. I don't know if he's going to do it or not, but he says he's going to get out of the business. I don't think he's going to get out of the business. He really loves the horses. The only thing I don't understand about Manny is that he don't ever go to the racetrack. He just, I don't get it. You know, I used to be at the racetrack every single night. I just loved it. I want, you know, but what Manny, he sit down with you. He makes 15 phone calls a day to different drivers, trainers, and everything. And he keeps you on the phone for as long as you want to be. In the beginning, he used to keep me on the phone for 2 hours, 3 hours. And he's like a sponge. He'd ask you a million questions, all good questions, legitimate questions. And he'd listen and listen and listen and listen and listen. And then all of a sudden, he comes on this podcast here. And in the comments, he talks like a fucking asshole, you know, not realizing that you're talking about guys that been in the business a total of 300 years, that been through everything. And you want to contradict them or tell them something or knock heads with them. Just sit back and listen. That's what I would do. If I wanted to become a builder, I would do the same thing. I'd have you on the phone for 2-3 hours a day, asking what would you do here, how would you do this, what kind of cement would you pour here, and everything else. And if you had a podcast with all builders, I'd be on there never making one comment. I'd ask a question and I'd listen. And that's why I'm saying, Manny, just listen if you're going to stay in the horse business. If you don't want to stay in the horse business and you want to be a disruptor, then just keep doing what you're doing, and I'll keep telling you to shut the fuck up. Anyway, that's it. Okay, let's see. What else? Let's see what this says. Can businesses write income tax off if owned a racehorse that lost money for the year? You would know more about that than me, Ron.
Yeah, they can't write 100% off. They can write off 90% of the loss. I know that they're trying to change that to 100%, but for some reason they can only write off 90% of the loss. That's a new bill that was just passed. But it's under consideration to change that to 100% of the loss.
Manny says, Larry, you know the sad part is that the industry is going to see a good owner leave. Well, I'll tell you this. I told you my feelings about that. I would definitely buy the Jewish guys out because they look, you got a beautiful wife, beautiful kids, a beautiful home. I think you even bought the house right next door to yours. So you got a good business going and everything else. These Jewish guys could take you a long way because I think you said something to me a few months ago that they're doing some development where they 75 homes got to be built and you got to build them or something like that. These are the kind of guys that, you know, get them out of the horse business. Don't let them get involved. And they told me, they told you, the only reason we're in it is because of you, Manny. You told us to come, we'll come. Just get them out. And if you have to get out of it just to get them out, my advice to you is get out of it. But you're with a trainer that's a sharp guy. He's not a jerk. He's a very smart guy. And I don't think he'll let you get hurt. So that's what you got going for you. So, but it is a shame because you're a good owner. You don't, regardless of your tough guy persona, you're very respectful when you talk. Because I seen you, I witnessed it. I witnessed it. You and me. I witnessed you with other people in person. You're a really nice guy. You just become a little bit of a jerk off with these comments sometimes. But if I was you, I would ask Ray Snick this. Tell Ray that you don't want to hurt these guys and get them out of the business. That's my advice to you. You're good at building houses, doing what you're doing. Build that business up and stop. You just got lucky this year. You made a lot of money, but that don't. And just remember that 95% of owners lose money. And everybody thinks, and I don't know if you insure any of your horses, but some of these thoroughbreds, you know, they buy them for $1 million, then they insure them for $5 million because they think they're going to be great horses and everything else. But what you don't realize is that you insure a horse for $5 million, you got to pay probably 5% of whatever you insure them for. That's what you got to pay for the insurance. If you insure for $10 million, you have to spend $500,000 a year or maybe more just paying for the insurance. And then it does happen, they don't want to pay anyway.
And that's only for mortality, Larry.
Yeah, I think
only
it
for
used to be
mortality.
5% for.
They don't pay you if the horse turns out to be no stock. That's only if the horse has to be put down or he dies.
And before you put him down, if you put him down without calling them and having a vet come, it makes no difference. Well, my vet wasn't here, and we're not paying you.
Yeah,
and with some reason.
And they'll tell you the horse didn't have to be euthanized. He could still live a life, but he just can't race anymore and no money.
All right,
Larry. I think that's it. 3 hours and something.
That's
4
it.
hours. 4 hours.
3 hours 54 minutes.
Wow, and nobody froze, and geez, I hope it don't freeze on. Hey, listen, if you're not doing nothing Sunday, watch that show at 3:00. My show. It's going to be very interesting. You're going to hear a lot of things about Frankie Valli, about Joe Pesci, about Tommy DeVito.
Okay.
Very, very interesting. Thank you,
right.
Ron.
Will do.
On.
Yeah,
Joe,
thanks for having me on. Joe, take care. I'll talk to you during the week.
Guys,
all right?
I'll speak to you during the week. Good night there, Larry.
Joe, is your father all right? I heard him calling for you.
Yeah, he was looking for something. He dropped the TV changer and he couldn't find it to shut the TV off inside.
Oh, okay. All right. A friend of mine, one of the guys on here wanted to hear the song. So we're going to go out with It's Getting Late.
I'm going to go out. We're going to the bathroom. I'll see you during the week.
All right, Joe. Bye. Okay, here's the song, and then we're gonna go to bed. Here it is, pal.
Dump those grudges, ditch those judges. They're just weighing you down. Drop the haters, procrastinators, 'cause one man's smile is just another one's frown. When it's time for the end, ain't no warning, my friend. One day you're here, next stop the pearly gates. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Dump collections, self-reflections, they're just covered in dust. Why obsess, worry or stress? Just ask yourself, what's the fuss? When your doctor calls you on a Sunday afternoon, gonna be a blue Monday, you'll be howling at the moon. You know you never can cheat fate. Lighten up, it's getting late. Forget bling and glitter, text and Twitter. Don't need it to make my case. Say it old school, face to face. Dump the users, soul abusers, turn and walk away. Give yourself a kick in the ass, then raise your glass. Let's toast to the past and make the most of today. Keep the faith, rise above, do the things that you love. Find a reason every day to celebrate. So listen close to what I'm saying. Lighten up, it's getting late. Live it well, have a blast. Live it full, life goes fast. You're carrying around too much dead weight. All the simple things are all that matters. Lighten up, it's getting late. Oh, what the hell? IGL. Oh, lighten up, it's getting late.
Good night, folks.